Happy Tuesday, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you this morning. Let's see. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
And Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor and box lacrosse superstar goalie, joins us as well. You still sore from your event out at Pechanga Arena?
A little bit.
Are
a little
ya?
bit, yeah. It's a little bit better than yesterday, but there was definitely some lactic acid buildup from my time in net.
Any desire to get back between the pipes at some point?
There's not the terror that there was before.
Right. You feel like you could do it now.
I mean, I could do 3 more minutes. I don't know that I could do more than
whole
that.
game?
Just the task of putting the pads on was so tough.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
Paul's help, I had no hope of
That
getting
was
them on.
worse than the actual having lacrosse balls.
balls fly at
maybe,
you?
yeah. Just the process of having to get suited up to do it.
I was just telling you guys, my oldest son is 6, Bo, and he has just fallen in love with basketball. And so basketball Bo is a thing. He's got like this coloring book, and it's got 50 legends of the game, and it spans the entire history of the NBA. So we're sitting there at the table, and he's flipping the page, and it's like, LeBron James. He's like, "Is he good?" I'm like, "Yeah." Next page, Kobe Bryant. Is he good? Yes. What about him? Is he good? It's legends of the game. Every page you turn, they're going to be good basketball players. Every one of them. So this guy, how do you say that? Carl Anthony Towns. Yes, he's good.
Pistol Pete in there?
Pistol Pete's in there, of course. So they're all good. Just color away and have a ball. So I pick him up from school yesterday. I go, "So what do you want to do?" It's 2:20 when I pick him up. We got a couple hours before we got to get the other one. Beautiful day outside. Hey, what do you want to do? You want some grounders? You want to throw the lacrosse ball around? He goes, "I want to shoot baskets." I'm like, "Oh, all right." My neighbor has an 8-foot goal that faces out in the street. There's a bunch of them on my street. They're free reign. Everybody can use them. Turns out, so we got him a little youth ball, not the real small one, but a little bit smaller than a regulation. Because he's little. It's 8 feet for him. It looks like a regular rim to us. So he's trying to shoot and get the ball up.
God, I loved an 8-foot
The
rim.
8-foot rim, there's nothing like it. Turns out, your boy over here, if I can palm a basketball and it's only 8 feet, I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good basketball player. If the rim is I was hitting shots, Paulie, from all over the street. I was going through the legs, the dunk, the backwards dunk. We were working on give and goes and stuff. I'm pretty good.
Like I could dunk a basketball in high school,
Yeah.
just barely. I mean, just barely get up there and throw it down. But my best friend, lived across the street from a middle school, and they had an outdoor court with the 8-foot hoops.
Legit ones.
Bro, it's a different game. You're like,
Is there
dunk contest?
Is there an 8-foot league? Because I would never go play with you guys ever. I would get killed. But is there
An 8-foot
If
hoop
there's an
league.
8-foot hoop league, I want to play in it.
I feel like there'd be a couple of 7-footers who would dominate because you could just toss it up to them.
They
and
shouldn't play
drop
in that
it
league. They shouldn't play in that league. This should be for
You have
fat,
to be under 6'3".
under
to play in the
6'3",
8-foot league.
45 and above. Like, you can't be young. But the ball, the other part is the ball that you can palm makes so much difference. I could never palm a basketball.
That was, yeah.
It's so much
Like,
different.
it was having a regulation-sized basketball. It would always, like, I'd get up there and the ball would just keep on going
keep
up
going
in the
straight.
air. If I had a women's ball or, like, a tennis ball or something, I could throw that one down.
That's
but
amazing.
It was just I couldn't quite grip the regulation-sized basketball perfectly to get it up and over the rim.
It also, when you're
I've
playing,
got very small hands, so I never had
could.
any hope. Ball handling skills were not good. I wear like a junior-sized glove for golf almost. My
You have
hands
big
are so small.
feet, though.
I have big feet, but small hands. Cadet, which is like the shorter finger, shorter hand size for golf glove.
I am, and also my son is like 4 feet tall, so I feel pretty confident taking him to the hole.
Yeah.
And also,
Feel
when
good.
he comes into the lane, swatting him is like my favorite thing. And
You got to teach him a lesson.
Dude, you've never seen someone that gets so. I'm like, buddy, I'm 4 feet taller than you. I'm older. I know what I'm doing. He gets so mad when he loses. So I had to throw one to him last night. Which, by the way, there's a philosophical debate that you could have. Like, do you throw games to your little kids, or do you beat their ass so they get better?
You hear stories.
You hear 'em
of
all.
Especially the greats. who all say that their dad never
let them win.
Never
Never
let
see
them win.
He Got Game?
Yes,
with Ray
it's been
Allen and
ages.
Denzel. Oh man, he bullies his kid.
See, I remember
turned into the greatest basketball player on the planet.
Now, so the risk you run is you take it to him every time. A, he quits and gets burned out. B, he turns into an absolute psychopath and thinks that you don't love him ever. If he becomes an NBA star, gets on a podium one day and says, I'd like to thank my father for never taking it easy on me, then you've done it right.
Yeah, for every one of those, there's probably a million who quit the game, who wouldn't speak to their father for decades.
Just trauma therapy.
I do feel like the example that is set by some of the Hall of Famers who said, my dad never let me win a game of pickup. When I was 14 and finally beat him, it was one of the great moments of my life.
Yes.
Is not necessarily the model to duplicate in parenthood.
You're absolutely right. But so yesterday, I was just like, hey, man. And he just storms off. He gets mad. Weird. And I'm like, buddy, I told him, I said, Pops used to whip my ass in one-on-one. I could never beat him. He had me by 3 feet, and he was a good player. And I go, I never beat Pops, ever. And he just storming off. I go, all right, come on, let's finish. And I let him hit a couple buckets. Hey, you won, 21-19. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, why don't you settle down, you little peckerhead?
I was never much of a basketball player. My dad played college basketball. He was a good player. Same size as me, but my dad always has this ability. He could turn his back to you with the ball and just use his butt to just back into you, just keep pushing you back and pushing you back as he's got it. And there's absolutely no way to stop it as a kid. You're like a scrawny, 13 or 14-year-old, and he's backing you down the free throw line, and then bump. He's all of a sudden under the hoop. He could do that at any time, and then he does this little turnaround fall away, make it every single time.
My dad had a hook.
There's no way I can stop it, come close to blocking it. There's just no hope at all.
I don't know what to do. I love that kid. I've never known love like the love I have for my son in my whole life. Never. I love his competitive fire. I love that he hates to lose. I love that about him. I don't want to coach it out of him, but also I can't have you every time you get down 6 points doing this. I'm like, just relax, dude. We're just playing like a friendly game. Just getting so mad. He hates to lose. Driving home yesterday, I go, hey, because I told him, I said, if we're going to play lacrosse, we're not playing a game. We're just going to practice. And he goes, why? I go, because you flipped out the last time we played a game and I won. And he looked at me just like this from the backseat. He goes, I hate to lose. And I was like, I know you do. I know you do. And I love that about him. But it's also like, I can't just body the kid every time I have a 3-foot height advantage on him. You know what I mean? Got to let him hit some shots, get the lane, don't call the travels, the double dribble. By the end of the thing, I was like, hey, are you going to dribble once before you shoot, or are you just going to run it in like a fullback and toss it up?
Well, I personally love to hear that he's getting into the game of basketball. He's a sports nut. I know that. He's going to play every single sport. But if he does want to actually play basketball, you let him know, and Paulie will coach him up.
I will, man. And I don't know anything about it. He really is falling in love with all sports, which is great. I'm so happy about that. But I do worry, when he gets out there, you have to learn how to lose. You just have to. You don't want to be happy with it ever. You never want to be like, oh, it's fine, I got my ass kicked. But, you have to learn how to lose with a little bit of dignity, a little bit of grace. I wasn't happy when the Tier 1s lost our baseball game a couple weeks ago. I was pretty pissed when I left.
I remember as a kid getting humbled. I was pretty good at baseball growing up, and then about middle school, really high school hit, and that's when you're like, oh, kids from other schools are here now, and they're all way better than me. But growing up, the majors division was 10, 11, and 12 years old, and I was the youngest on the higher level. I got promoted up to a higher level, but I was the youngest on the team. I never played. Yeah. And when I did, I got embarrassed. Yeah, it was humbling.
It's humbling. But see, I don't know that he goes back if it's like that.
Would you rather be like a starter, a regular player on a mediocre team, or a bench warmer on a championship winning team that is pretty much the dominant force?
But you rarely get to play because your teammates are so good.
Bench warmer. Yeah, I want to be on a winning team.
It's tough because I feel like, especially if you're younger, it's harder to get better if you're not getting playing time, you're not getting out there. Yeah, you're practicing with good players, and that's a good thing. And
when I ran
winning is good, and you're seeing good examples of how to win.
When I ran my team, like adult stuff, like I ran my teams, I'd look around and I'd go, "Oh, I'm not better than any of these. Like I need to be. I'll work in here and there. I'll be a good team guy. I'll, be ready." That's what I always did. I was never the best baseball player on my team ever. Ever.
I was that 1 year. I was 11 on the AAA team.
I
was the best player on the team.
I've never known what that's like to be the best. Like
kid moved away, so they promoted me up to the next level, and I knew I had no business being on this team. We played in the playoffs. I got my one at bat, struck out, embarrassed myself.
Maybe year one of fantasy camp when we had 14 people, I was like, all right, I feel like I had a really good time and hit really well. Other than that, no. So I'm one of those dad questions, and a lot of dads in the chat weighing in like, "No, man, you can't let them win. You got to take it to them." And then some people are like, "You got to balance it out. You got to give them a dub every now and then." I said, that's probably more my style of parenthood, but it was.
You have to make it look like you're not.
Yeah, you got to
giving
throw
them
it.
The dub, though.
You got to throw it a little.
But they
bit.
can't know that you're throwing.
But
it.
he probably wouldn't care as long as at the end of the day you can say 21-18. You know what I mean? Tommy says, "I'd rather be a starter on a losing team. I love playing the game. When we win, I'd feel so good because we aren't supposed to." Yeah, man, I just hate losing that much. I really do. I don't like to be on the lovable losers. That's why the tier ones need to get their S together this weekend. Hopefully everybody's getting in the cage, getting some work in. Got a game on Sunday. Would love to have you guys out there. Rancho Buena Vista High at 9 a.m.
I think the weather's supposed to be decent this weekend.
Yeah, should get the game in, I would imagine. But anyway, we have a show for you today. That's for sure.
Well, that is a low bar to clear.
We
will be here for the next 3 hours and 47 minutes.
It's
talking
show.
Obviously some Padres baseball. We'll set the menu. What's coming up? Should be a loose one here on a Tuesday. We will come back with Ben and Woods as we get started here. One day down. It's day number 2 of the week. We can promise you that. It's election day as well. I will say nothing more than it is a civic responsibility to go out and vote. And I will leave it at that because you really can't say more than that nowadays without getting in trouble. So
you might have said too much.
I think you said
just
too
by
much.
mentioning that's election day?
Yeah.
I was a politics major. I mean, that was like a big thing for me.
It's insane to me.
Growing up, that's the one thing that you have to you want to.
Adam's already got 4 emails in his inbox right now.
It's election day.
These
you
guys
should go
talking
vote.
politics in the morning.
Is it bad to not really care about politics at all? Like not.
I
really
think
the
it is
slightest?
bad
Okay.
to not
We can
care
talk
at
about it.
all.
I told you guys before the show. I said I'm really bad in that sense. Like
I vote and stuff, but
You don't have to get absorbed in the craziness that is politics.
you know
today.
how I am, right? I'll go if I go
at
in
some
and,
level, whether it's your local or some, you should care about some of it, a little bit at least.
life's too short to argue with people about it.
I'm saying you have to argue with people about it.
Can't do it.
But caring is different. Well, that's a philosophical discussion for another day, or maybe this day. We'll find out. All right, we'll come back. We'll set the menus, get you started here on a Tuesday. It's Ben and Woods, Paulie Reindl. Let's check traffic with Kelly Danick here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. So you brought up basketball, and we were talking about me and the Seals uniform. And I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite uniform? And not the normal question like, ooh, I like the brown and gold of the Padres. I mean, of all the sports,
Baseball, no question.
the baseball uniform is the best.
Well, when done right, and I've realized something. But we got the
basketball's really comfortable.
Yeah, but me in shorts and a tank top is not cool at all. I do not look cool in it. I have skinny arms, so me in a tank top out playing hoops, not a good look for me.
Okay, if you had
football would be badass.
If you had to go in public somewhere, would you rather be in a baseball uniform or a basketball uniform?
Neither.
Basketball.
Basketball
by a mile.
You look like a moron.
Yeah, with
I
the
feel like
tucked
I'd look
in
like a
and
moron
the
with
belt. I mean,
the tank top with no one.
you can wear a shirt
sleeves.
underneath now. Basketball players wear
Or
shirts.
like
underneath
compression
now.
shirts,
Yeah.
like over the shoulder.
To me, I think basketball would be the most comfortable of all. But in terms of the best looking
Purple says footy, soccer.
Uniform.
I think that actually
soccer kit,
that looks pretty
that
cool.
looks pretty sharp.
You got the high socks. I
Anyone
think that
can
looks
kind of
pretty
pull
good.
that off
Yeah.
for the most part. That's not a bad call.
I agree. No, but okay, if you're going to go play the sport, what uniform do I like wearing the most? It's baseball. When done right. And I kind of, some of the guys have let me know when we ordered the jerseys, I went with the all white, the white with the brown tier 1. I should have gone with the brown and like a yellow tier 1. We all have agreed that we're all a little bit too chunky to wear the white. It's not a good. I should have gone a darker, more slimming. So
I was surprised that you went with the white on white.
I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest with you, Paulie. Next year we will go browns.
I mean,
with yellow,
middle-aged men
in white
do not look good in City Connect uniforms. Just in general.
Let's be honest.
White,
they really don't.
City Connect tucked in uniforms are not flattering on us, 40 to 50 something.
Yeah, McKee says now Woods needs to sport that Padres basketball jersey giveaway for one show. Joe looks good in it. Tatis looks phenomenal in it. Man, he looks great in it. I do not look good in the Joe Musgrove basketball jersey. It's not a look for me.
That's the tier 1 basketball uniform.
Yeah.
Is those jerseys same distributor that made the ones for the Padres?
You go shirt underneath.
Sometimes depends. We play at Palomar. It is so cold.
I bet. Oh, it's cold.
It is so well. In the summer, it turns into an oven, and in the winter, quote unquote winter, it still gets so cold. It's like an ice box.
Yeah.
So I've got the tights on underneath the shorts.
If you're playing a sport, though, I mean, is there anything better than football gear? I mean, anything like the padded legs, the cool ass shoulder pads, the helmet, like that's cool. Like you feel like a gladiator. You dress up, and you probably felt like a gladiator the other night.
Yeah, but you can't move.
Can't
at least
move around. Yeah.
In lacrosse goalie gear. Maybe I haven't put on football pads in
it's been
a long time.
It's been
they were definitely at least
years.
more flexible than the hockey goalie or the lacrosse goalie stuff.
What's the worst? Oh, I like golf gear. I pull golf gear off.
I don't know if that's a uniform technically,
That's true,
but
you
we
can
can
make
all
your own
pretty much pull off golf gear.
Yeah, I like dressing
for
in
the
golf
most
gear.
part.
I'm actually not comfortable in golf gear.
I feel pretty comfortable in my golf gear. I bought some good stuff.
Jake says hockey sweaters are a clean look. Warm in Southern California usually, but
They got good gear too. Hockey players look cool. All professional. I'm trying to
The
think.
visor.
All professional athletes look pretty cool in their gear. What doesn't? Ooh, like I know the men don't have to wear what the women wear in volleyball, but imagine a man in those really tight hugger shorts playing volleyball. That's probably not a good look for a
swimming
guy.
is not a good look.
Not a good look. No.
Most people,
Speedo.
No.
unless you're a swimmer,
No.
the swimmer's look is not a.
Well, even then,
not
you
a
better
great
be
one.
near a pool.
Otherwise, 100%. Walking around in it, just hanging brain.
Like
for
that's kind of
everyone.
where I'm. The measuring stick is like if you have to walk through public in a uniform, in a sports uniform.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Because
I'm
if you're on
If you're on the
said field or
field-
court, it looks normal.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Even big pasty white guys, if you're on a basketball court playing basketball and wearing a basketball uniform, it looks fine.
Here's a good one. Wrestling singlet. All right, that's the winner. That is that's the one. The wrestling singlet does not look good.
Anything that involves like a jumpsuit,
Yeah, correct.
auto racing driver.
They look pretty cool. Once
You like
they
those?
get
Like
it
a
in,
full
once they get in there,
like jumpsuit of sorts.
They look pretty
Jeff,
cool.
basketball
pieces.
warm-ups.
Yep, that looks
are
good.
basically high-end pajamas.
Oh, yeah.
And then you do
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
the
sweats
pull-out.
and the shooting shirt. Oh yeah.
Badass.
Yep.
Badass.
The old school, like when the Lakers would come out in the 80s with the long pants and the tops and the pull off the gold pants. And I mean,
Whoever invented the
was
pull-off
sharp.
pants, you're a genius.
Yeah.
Because you got the shoes. You can't untie your shoes, but you want to be warm. So like, all right, we'll just put snaps down the side, and you just...
I'd imagine it helps having an equipment staff who can then put the pants back together for when you put them on, because
Snap them
it's
up.
not going to be fun then going back and having to snap each.
I think you just snap the top like 2 or 3 at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah,
to be
top
able
2 or
to
3.
on.
Get them on and off. I love that. Try those in the bedroom. See what the missus thinks about those.
All
Are you
right,
ready?
babe.
You ready? Who's ready? As if I couldn't make her more disgusted. Get some of those pants and bring them home.
All right, here's what we've got on the menu for you today.
Nothing. Literally nothing. There's literally nothing.
Padres are going through a nice little stretch here at spring training. Talk about yesterday's game against the Cubs, and in particular, the battle for the last couple of spots in the pitching rotation, which is going quite well, actually, this spring. But it's leading to some other, I mean, good problems, I guess, to have, and the decisions that A.J. Preller, Mike Schilt are going to have to make about this starting rotation based on the guys who have options, the guys who don't have options, and, would have to be put on waivers if you don't put them on the roster here when they head to Korea in a little bit. So they're going to have to make these decisions in the next couple of weeks here about at least a couple of these guys on this pitching rotation. But so far, so good for a lot of these guys, and you saw a couple of more outstanding efforts yesterday, so we'll talk about that. Talk a little SDSU basketball, 7 o'clock hour. The Aztecs have a huge game tonight. Last chance to win a road game against one of the top 6 teams in the Mountain West Conference. Feels like the number 4 seed in the NCAA tournament's kind of on the line tonight.
You feel like that's a hurdle that that they just have to get over. They have to get through. They need to get one of these under their belt.
You'd like it. I mean, you don't have to win on the road technically in the NCAA tournament. They're neutral site games. It's different than being on the road, but it would be nice for them to finish off one of these games where they have a close. I mean, they've been close in all of them, and they just can't finish them off. You're going to have to finish off games in the NCAA tournament. You're not winning by 12 every single round and going to the Final Four again. Just like last year. If you win, there's going to be a couple of buzzer beaters, games that come down to the wire, and the Aztecs haven't won a ton of those this year. So we'll see. We'll talk about what happens tonight. Take on Woods. Don't do this. I had some NFL news yesterday. Russell Wilson.
Bro, when this came out yesterday, I can't. I guess I wasn't shocked. It's pretty obvious they wanted to move on from Russell Wilson, but what the details of this are staggering. It's funny money that they're playing with in the NFL. It's literally funny money. Talking about the cap hit and everything else that they're going to do.
I want to talk. How do you feel if you're a Denver Broncos fan, knowing your team is now behind the 8 ball for the next 2 years with like very little hope of making it up just to get out from under?
Does anyone here know what they're doing?
The Russell Wilson
Paulie,
contract.
You saw the list of quarterbacks, and I think I bookmarked it, and I'll pull it up later. The list of quarterbacks that they've had in the last... What, since Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, you got to hit on
And
one of these
every guy
guys.
was the next guy.
Every guy was the next. And John Elway was up there hand-picking guys for years. And again, another great example. Just because you were a great player like Derek Jeter or John Elway or Michael Jordan doesn't mean you know the business that you were dominant in. You have no idea what you're doing as an executive, all these guys. And you saw Jeter goes, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm out. I'm done. Jordan sold his share. I mean, Elway's out, right?
Yeah, Elway's out.
He's
Elway's out too.
I mean, it's actually staggering the money that they're going to end up losing the next couple of years.
Second half of the show, Tier 1 Tour continues. Our next stop in the AL Central, the Kansas City Royals today. Sammy spring training from Peoria, Arizona. We've only got about a week left of Sammy before he's done. The Padres head off to Korea. Reindl Report, we've got all your favorites today, so settle in. Going until 10 o'clock this morning. We'll come back. We'll talk some Padres baseball and the competition for the last 2 spots in the pitching rotation. Coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. case you haven't noticed, your San Diego Padres have a winning record now in Cactus League play after their third straight victory yesterday.
Sure bodes well for the season, doesn't it, fellas?
Just like when they had a losing record and were 0-3 or whatever, doesn't matter that they have a winning record either at this point. You have to be fair. When you say, hey, it's just spring training when they're losing, you also have to say it's just spring training when they're winning.
Yes.
It means just as little when you win as when you lose.
If a player plays really good, doesn't matter. If he plays really bad, doesn't matter.
So there's an interest. I mean, you look at the top of the leaderboard. First time I've done it, by the way, this season.
The standings.
The standings. First time I've done it for the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League. In the Grapefruit League, well, the Baltimore Orioles running away with it right now with a 9-2 record.
They're expected to be good this year.
Tampa Bay Rays bringing up the rear, Ben, at 2-6. They always find a way to win 90 games somehow. Blue Jays, Marlins bringing up the bottom there. Now at the top of the standings in the Cactus League, Los Angeles Dodgers 9-2. 6-0 at home, 3-2 on the road. The Royals making some waves, 8-3. Bringing up the rear. The Seattle Mariners are having the roughest go. They've only won one game so far, 1-7. Means absolutely nothing at all. But the Oakland Athletics are 5-5, Ben, grinding out a 500 record, which that'd be the best story of the year. If the Oakland A's finished the season with a 500 record and you put money on it, you would make a buttload of money.
Yes, you would.
A buttload.
That's a well over the projected number of wins for the Oakland A's this season.
But, you look at the top, and those are two teams that are supposed to be pretty good, the Dodgers and the Orioles, so they're handling their business right now.
I mean, you can always make the argument, like, good teams should also be deep.
Sure.
They've got lots of backups,
Yeah.
so no matter who they're playing, whether they're playing their starters or their backups, they should be good. Doesn't always work that way. You play a lot of minor leaguers in those games, so results really don't matter. I do think it's interesting, just after watching all of last season, when you saw the Padres near the bottom of the standings with a giant plus run differential, they actually have a negative run differential, but a winning record in spring training.
It's so weird how that works. But, so they did nice close victory yesterday. It's a one-run game, and we won it. That makes me happy.
You do have to, I mean, even Mike Schilt and A.J. Preller have to have some takeaways, though, from these games.
Absolutely.
And in particular, you're looking at some of the pitching performances and how guys are doing. We will talk about yesterday's pitching performances and how it bodes for the starting rotation right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
A couple things to watch out for. Westbound 54 at the 805, this box truck hit the right shoulder guardrail, but it continued on. But meanwhile, watch out for a little debris in that right lane, westbound 54 at the 805. And some debris in the left lanes on northbound 5 coastline right before Loma Santa Fe. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So good start for Johnny Brito yesterday, 3 1/3 innings, scattered 5 hits, but didn't walk anybody and struck out 6 batters, which is, from what I understand, not what you really expect from Johnny Brito. He's more of a, gets early contact, trying to go for the soft contact ground balls sort of pitcher, but was missing some bats yesterday against the Chicago Cubs and has had a very solid spring training so far. Matt Waldron came in, gave up his first run of the spring, but ended up 4 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, and he's been outstanding. His ERA is 1, which I believe is 1 run in 9 innings so far in the Cactus League. And both of those guys, in fact, I think there's kind of a sense at Padres spring training that Matt Waldron has pitched his way into being one of the favorites to have one of the last 2 spots in the starting rotation based on what everybody has seen so far this spring training. Do you get that sense as well?
Yeah, I do. And I think, talk about earning something. There was competition for those spots. And you went 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 6 Ks. The command has been really, really sharp. Now, so he's got options, Ben, which makes it a little bit tough. But just because he has options right now, if he's earned his way into that slot, he can help you win ball games. It certainly looks that way right now. I think he is the 5th starter with an Avila as a swingman type. I think that's pretty. I think that could be pretty solid because Avila has done well.
All right. Well, who's the 4th starter?
Probably
then?
Brito,
not Vasquez, because Vasquez has pitched very well.
He's pitched well. I don't know that he's pitched. Has he pitched better than Johnny Brito?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I like to say Brito, by the way, not Brito.
Drew Thorpe remains in big league camp as well.
That's interesting.
He was not sent down to the minors when they made some of those decisions. And again, don't read too much into it, but read something into that, that they made that choice to send guys down like Robbie Snelling and Jairo Iriarte. But they said, but we want to continue to see Drew Thorpe in the big league camp. Leads you to at least believe that he's still under consideration to be one of those guys. But I do think the wild card here, as you mentioned it, the options. And Pedro Avila, who is scheduled to pitch today against the Arizona Diamondbacks in Scottsdale, has not had the best spring. In fact, if you look at all the candidates that we've just thrown out, probably had the worst results when it comes to spring training. But he has no options left.
And he has had success.
And he's had enough big league success that with the number of teams are out there that are kind of desperate for pitching, if you put him on waivers to try to send him to the minor leagues, gone. There's a really good chance you're going to lose him.
There's no question. There's no question about it. Somebody will absolutely take a chance on Pedro Avila for nothing.
So you could try to slot him in as your long reliever swingman role, like a sixth guy, but he's on your roster. So,
piggyback style guy would be fine.
A starter goes only 3 innings. You go Avila, and he can give you 3 or 4 to save the bullpen on a day. And if you've got a starter who needs last minute, he's got a blister, and you need someone who can start.
Sure.
He's got some value there, but I don't necessarily think that Pedro Avila has done enough to be one of those 5 starters as well. But you do that, and then you talk about a guy like Luis Patino, who just arrived, but he also doesn't have options. And would be someone that other teams would be intrigued by if you put him on waivers and try to get him down to the minor leagues. Now, there's a lot of gamesmanship that goes on at the end of spring training, where you try to kind of put guys through in the big list of other guys and see if you can kind of hide them, because you can't claim everybody. There's a bunch of guys who will go on waivers at the same time right before the season, and every team's going to be right up against their 40-man rosters, their 26-man rosters. Sometimes you can get away with getting a guy down to the minor leagues without losing him, but it is definitely a risk when it comes to a guy like Pedro Avila and probably a guy like Luis Patino.
Yeah, that's one risk. The other risk that you run with a guy like Matt Waldron that is absolutely came in and done everything you've asked him to do. Hey, bud, sorry, man, you're going to start the season down at AAA. Just an absolute confidence shatterer. Hey, no, we're going to need you. We're doing this because you have options. But he's been outstanding this spring training. Outstanding. So do you want to send a guy like that down? There's a lot of guys making life hard on Mike Schilt and AJ Preller, and I think that's ultimately always a great thing.
Yeah, you want that.
You want that every time.
You want that.
Stephen Kolek is another one. He was a Rule 5 pick.
That's another tricky situation.
He's been fantastic as well. He's a Rule 5 pick. He has to go to Korea on the 26-man, or he gets offered back to the Mariners organization, who would probably take him.
Jeremiah Estrada is a guy that no one had in their plans for 2024 if you were a Padres fan, but he's looked very good in the bullpen, and there aren't enough spots for everyone who's pitched well for the Padres this spring.
Because the guys are looking good. Wandy Peralta had a really nice outing yesterday as well.
So with Suarez struggling a little bit, and Yuki Matsui dealing with the back spasms, and the news yesterday was again positive, and it looks like he's going to get back and hopefully throw in a couple of exhibition games before the season. And maybe he'll end up as the 9th inning guy. Maybe it'll still be Suarez. Telling yesterday that Wandy Peralta got the end of the game.
Yep.
And you think maybe he's now your option C. He's done it before, not regularly, but he has pitched the 9th inning and been a closer in those situations before. And if you're not confident in Suarez and you're not confident in Matsui or his health, perhaps you see Wandy Peralta get some of those opportunities in the 9th inning for the Padres, at least early in the season.
Yeah, great day at the Dish yesterday for Tatis, 3 for 3. RBI starting to get a little locked in. He went from a 0.000 batting average. Now, Ben, in 2 games, he's 286. His OPS is 912. And just like we all knew would happen, he's come around. There's a couple of concerns that I'm seeing from a lot of Padres fans. I don't want to stoke the fires at all, but I think it's okay to be a little bit concerned about Xander Bogaerts, and I think it's a little bit concerned. It's okay to be a little bit concerned about Manny. Manny probably not from a he's not a good hitter anymore, but from an injury standpoint, took another offer. He just doesn't look locked in at all, and you wonder how much the elbow is bothering him. Now, if Manny's going to slot in as your DH, but he's hurt and battling through an injury all year in his elbow, it does this team no good. No good whatsoever. Xander, man, I
don't know that I agree with that.
How so?
I think Manny at 75%, we have no other options.
Well, right. There's no other options. But what I'm saying
Would
is...
you rather have Matthew Batten as your DH every day or a 75% Manny Machado?
What I'm saying is...
We're throwing out numbers as to what percentage health he's
Right.
going to be, and we have no idea. He's where he's supposed to be right now.
He's actually ahead of schedule in the fact that he's on the field at least.
I'm not worried about Manny Machado really in the slightest.
Okay. Yeah, he's not hitting the ball.
When he
needs
got the
time.
surgery in September, October. Weren't we like, oh, he's going to miss most of April?
Yeah, he's going to be out, at the start
The
of the
fact that we're
season
even
maybe.
having these conversations.
Well, I like your point of, and it's the same thing we said, when he rolled his ankle and it was gnarly and he probably should have gone on the IL. We were in a pennant race then. Like, it's pretty imperative that we get off to a good start. I'd like Manny to be as close to 100% as he can possibly be if he's going to DH. At that time, he was still he was going out there and playing third base sometimes on one ankle. I mean, we're not in a pennant race right now. He's got to get healthy before, he slots in as the everyday DH. Now, the Xander thing...
Xander's a little bit of a different story.
I watched his ABs the other day, and he just doesn't look right, man. He just doesn't look right at all. He's beating the ball into the ground, and you wonder the position change. It shouldn't have that much to do with it, but... it just doesn't seem super comfortable right now. Nothing to panic about. Could go out and hit 2 bombs off glass now like it's nobody's business, man. This is spring training. These guys are working on stuff. I get it, but if you're gonna parse things out and pick things apart, Xander's a little bit worrisome.
It always surprises me how well Xander actually did at the end of last season.
Yeah.
I look back to the numbers.
What about the beginning? My God, he's the hottest player in baseball
for a month, and then he was ice cold. He had the wrist, and after he got the cortisone shot from July 14th through the end of the season, and they wrote about this in the UT today. 321 average, 364 OBP, 493 slugging, 17 doubles, 9 homers. That's all-star. That's elite. You would take that in a heartbeat, and that wasn't just a couple of good weeks. That was 2.5 months at the end of the season when Xander was playing like a $285 million player for the San Diego Padres. They get that Xander. Everybody signs up for that right now. That is terrific numbers. That's exactly what he did with the Boston Red Sox, essentially. And he was doing it last season for an extended period of time with the Padres. I'm not going to panic
I'm not panicking. No one's panicking.
When we're still 2 weeks away from the first regular season game.
The only
if he's going to struggle at the plate, this is the time to do it.
100%. The only thing that makes me, we talked about lineup construction yesterday. And, you see when Randy Rollover gets up there right now, not hitting the ball well, rolling, hitting the ball on the ground. We've seen this act before. His name was Eric Hosmer. And Eric Hosmer was notoriously, the 2-hole, 3-hole hitter on this team. Sometimes he'd be in the 4. Just murdered you. What do you do with Xander Bogaerts? You bat him lead off? Get it out of the way. Like, hey, get a knock, work a walk. You had high OBP last year. Get it out of the way. Do you put him in the 3? You can't put him in.
I think it's unfair to compare him to Hosmer. Hosmer also had some hot Aprils. I don't think he ever had a stretch like Xander did at the end of last season. A 2.5-month stretch
Never
like
at the
that
end. No.
For the San Diego
Always
Padres.
at the beginning.
At the beginning, he was good. He had a lot of 300
But
Aprils.
you're a notorious ground ball hitter.
Sure.
You have him. You want him in the 2. You want him in the 3. I don't know. That's tough. It can kill an inning. I don't know if you know this, but the other guys, they play pretty good defense in the big leagues, and you really got to get that ball out to the outfield. You really do. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I just don't know where to bat him. I don't know where to hit him.
We've got a celebrity on the line.
Do we?
Yes, we do. Let's go out to Ryan Cohen.
Ryan Cohen,
this morning. Out of the blue.
Smokes,
Out
look
of
at this
the blue.
guy. This was not planned.
Did it sound like we needed the help this morning, Ryan? Because we probably do. Good morning.
Not at all. You don't need the help. But I realized I haven't talked to you guys in forever, and you were talking Padres, and I was like, I'm going to try and sneak in before the top of the hour here. How we doing?
We're doing great, man. I saw a really
Carte blanche.
nice picture of you the other day with the great
Couple
Emma.
of random Padres
random
fans,
Padres
yeah.
fans. How did you meet Emma Stone? And does she smell beautiful as she looks?
Emma is lovely. She's fantastic, as everyone has said. She's great. I've become friends with Dave, her husband, over the last couple of years, just through the Padres. Got to hang out with him a good amount. They live here in New York, where I live now, and got to meet Emma for the first time last week, and she's great. We had so much fun. We danced together.
Did she
had a
know
great
who you
time.
were then because you knew her husband?
Yeah, she gave me a huge hug and said how
That's
nice
nice.
it was to meet
That's
me, which
incredible.
was one of the
Jesus.
craziest things.
Like when you posted those
she's awesome.
pictures, it was weird because normally I would be like, "Oh my god, one of my friends is somebody I know
Yeah.
hanging out with a couple of major celebrities," and I go, "But when Ryan Cohen
It's
posted, I go,
right.
yeah, it makes sense.
Makes sense.
I
Yeah.
don't know why it makes sense, but it makes sense.
He's our Forrest Gump. How is the Big Apple treating you, by the way?
It's very different from San Diego.
Very.
I'm having the time of my life. I'm having so much fun. Let me start there. I'm ready for sunshine, dude. It's like raining and cold every day, which I'm over.
It is
But
here too, unfortunately.
It builds character.
62 and sunny.
It builds character living
It
in a
was
big
60.
city like that. You can always come back here. You can always come back. The doors will always be open for you. But getting this opportunity to work where you work, with who you work with, meeting all the people, bro, this is incredible for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm gonna end up in San Diego at some point. I love it too much. I want to live my life there. But I'm 23 and I get to do a bunch of fun stuff in a big city and
So
kind of live out a dream.
I did it.
I'm having the time of my life.
When I was 22, I lived in Chicago, and it was truly the greatest summer. No offense, babe. The best summer of my life. Like, I went out 7 nights a week. I just was like out of control. It was so much fun learning the new city, learning the people, meeting all the people. I'm so proud of you, dude, and happy for you. San Diego's not going anywhere, man. We will always be right here. And please call in
So
more
good to hear from you, man.
during the season. We'll talk some ball.
Last thing I want to say, I said this when I moved up to college, and it's the same now. You guys are my slice of home every single morning,
Thank
and I
you.
love you guys, and I appreciate you. Thanks for taking my call.
Love you too.
Thanks,
pal.
Ryan. Say hi to Juan Soto for us.
Yeah. Say hello to Juan. So he's probably by the John Boy Studios
Probably.
to show Ryan how to hit or something.
Probably going to run into him at some point in the pinstripes.
Oh, I love him.
this summer.
So proud of him. It's
Yeah.
such a good thing.
All right, we are done with 1 hour. Let's come back. We got some take on Woods. Big game for the Aztecs tonight. New AP poll was out yesterday. All coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, as I mentioned, Padres and Arizona Diamondbacks today in Scottsdale. I think it's a webcast only with Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. We can check on that. Mentioned Pedro Avila is going to pitch. I think we're also seeing Enyel De Los Santos, Robert Suarez. See if he can kind of get going here at the end of spring training. It's been a little bit of a rough start for Robert Suarez this spring, as he's expected to move into it at least an 8th, if not 9th inning role this season. I mean, I think they want to put him in the 9th inning.
Like, yes,
that's
of course.
That's the plan.
It's yours.
And if it doesn't go well, they've got other options. But
Take it.
Suarez is the first plan. You've got to make everybody confident that it's the right plan as well.
Yeah, this will be their longest trip of the spring training so far, Ben, all the way out to Salt River on the outskirts of Scottsdale. Don't expect to see maybe your favorite Padres in the lineup today, I would imagine.
I would think that most of the starters, after playing the last couple of days, will get to remain behind at the Peoria Sports Complex today.
Take it a
and then
easy.
Thursday is a day off for the Padres.
Yeah.
But Joe Musgrove is going to throw, and Michael King, I think, on the backfield to stay on their schedules that they've been. So they lose their off day. Maybe they can take tomorrow off or Friday off or something instead.
Yeah.
All right. Tonight, the Aztecs play at UNLV. Yesterday, the new AP Top 25 poll came out, and San Diego State ranked 21st, one spot down from last week. They only played once and had the somewhat close win over San Jose State at home, and then they've been off since last Tuesday when we were out at spring training. So they're back in action today. It's a road game. It's something they have not really been able to get over the hump in conference play. Any of the top teams, they've had the opportunities. They lost at New Mexico, Colorado State, Utah State, Boise State, all the top teams in the Mountain West, the ones with a winning record. They have not been able to get over the hump and win one of those. Nevada, any of those close road games, they're 0-5.
It's testament to the conference, man.
Yeah,
and how tough it is.
It's a much tougher conference. I mean, it's projected still to have six NCAA tournament teams. And yes, you would like to have won one or two. There's no way you were going through and just running the table in the Mountain West this year. But to me, this is a critical game. As I mentioned yesterday, the Aztecs are trying to lock in a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. And if they win their last two, today against UNLV and Friday at home against Boise State, I think they're good to go no matter what happens in the Mountain West tournament. And I had this feeling, just a feeling, but sometimes you get those sports hunches that things are kind of meant to work out. And I don't know if Aztecs fans would sign up for this or not. But it keeps just popping up in my mind that the Aztecs are going to get a number 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
Probably out west because they've had a good year. And Arizona's going to be the number 1 seed. And they're going to win their first 2 games. And then they're going to get to the Sweet 16. And it's going to be the Aztecs against Keyshawn Johnson and the Arizona Wildcats in the Sweet 16. It just feels to me
Good storyline.
Like there's a destined storyline for them to meet their former teammate in the NCAA tournament. It's the only way they could play him. Wasn't on the schedule. No other way other than the NCAA tournament committee setting it up that way. But I've seen some mock brackets that have Arizona as a 1 and San Diego State as a 4 with a possible meeting. It's a long way to go before then. No one can get upset. The brackets have to match up the right way. But somehow in March, those storylines just tend to have a way of coming true sometimes. And just for a couple of weeks now, I just kind of keep having that feeling.
All right.
They're going to have to take on Keyshawn Johnson, aren't they? The guy who was a key performer for them last year, left for what is reportedly, 6 figures or more in
$200 grand or something.
NIL money with the Wildcats. Has had a really good season. Has helped them, scale to the top of the charts in the Pac-12 in their last year. And I don't know. I just keep thinking we're going to see that game. And I don't know who's going to win that game, but I feel like we might see that game at some point in the NCAA tournament.
What's your bottom for the Aztecs?
Like, how low could they get?
What are you expecting? Like, we know about expectations, and I know it's not the same because guys leave. You just mentioned, a couple guys left for the NBA, guys went to other teams. But when you look at this Aztecs team, what are you going to be satisfied with? Is it Sweet 16 or bust?
What's like my
baseline.
Yeah, I mean, the
It's
year
so
that
hard
they've
to- it's
had,
so
I'd
hard
like to
to-
see them get to the second weekend of the tournament.
I
Now,
think Sweet 16 at least.
now,
Really?
will they?
I got to get there.
I mean,
Really?
They could
Yeah.
they could lose one of the games this week, get a 5 seed, have a tough. Those 5-12 matchups are dangerous, and you could lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. It happens all the time to good teams.
No, I don't think like Brian Dutcher doesn't get fired. If
Right,
he
right,
goes.
right, right, right.
No.
Nothing like that. But that's where I kind of want to see them. I mean, they've been hovering around 20th all year long in the AP poll. So
They've already backed
get hot
up
and get in the Sweet 16.
the greatest season in Aztecs history. They've backed it up really better than you probably could have expected. They lost 5 regulars from that team. Maybe not 5 starters, but 5 guys who contributed big minutes to a team that went to the national championship game. And they had a tougher schedule and a tougher conference. And they have, I think, essentially the same record and better metrics this year than they did last year. They've done an incredible job. Brian Dutcher and his staff have done an incredible job. Jaden Ledee has been a revelation, a force. We're not used to seeing necessarily the star players. Kawhi, obviously, the exception. But I would say that Jaden Ledee, this season, he may not be a future NBA superstar like Kawhi, but you can make the argument Kawhi never had as good of a season as Jaden Ledee is having with the Aztecs right now. He wasn't as polished.
Force.
He wasn't as
Kawhi was
polished
a
of a scorer.
consistent double-double, like a 12
Yeah,
and 10
rebounding,
guy, 14
defense
and
for
12.
sure.
Yeah.
Kawhi was a better defensive player, a better rebounder. But
Jaden Ledee takes
in
over.
terms of scoring in college, Kawhi didn't have the shot he has now. He couldn't make 3-pointers. Jaden Ledee, he gets that double team and he goes over it, and those little floaters. He's got that good mid-range jumper. He's hit some 3-pointers this year. He has gotten better as the season's gone on. His last 5 or 6 games, averaging 23, 24 a game, usually getting double and triple teamed. He is putting together a good argument to be a first-team All-American this year.
He's still projected to be.
It's
first
right.
team.
He's like what I've heard is 5, 6. He's right there on the cusp of first-team, second-team All-American.
But to go from being a role player off the bench on the championship team or the runner-up team,
yes,
to then being a borderline first-team All-American, that's a huge glow-up, whatever you want to call it, over the offseason for Jaden Ledee. I think that speaks volumes to who he is as a basketball player.
And all credit to him. I mean, yeah, sure, the coaching staff, everyone, it's a team game, but he has stepped up in ways that I don't think any of us anticipated.
Every time you watch him, he's got 3 guys on him.
Yeah.
He's getting just mauled in the paint.
And he's done a good job. He there's that point where the team started doubling and tripling him, and turnovers went up, and he was having a little trouble dealing with it. You've seen him adjust, though, in the last few games. He's like, okay, I know how to handle these double teams now. I know when to score. I know when to pass. I know when to dribble out of it. He's just gotten better and better as the season goes on. That should serve him quite well when they get to the NCAA tournament. My big fear, of course, is they run into just one of those massive Big Ten type teams with 2 7-footers and with no Nathan Mensah and shot blocker around the rim.
Yeah, it's going to be.
That could be a bad matchup in the NCAA tournament for the Aztecs. But I'm excited. I mean, there's no reason why this team couldn't get to the second weekend and even give a 1-seed trouble like they did last year, beating Alabama. I wouldn't want to see the Aztecs coming.
No,
I'll tell you that.
hell no.
If I'm a 1-seed, 2-seed, whatever, I would not want to see the Aztecs coming in the NCAA tournament this March.
Yeah, man, they got the experience. They know a lot of those guys have been there before. It's going to be fun, man. March Madness is a absolutely, it's such a banger of a time of year.
Quickly need a contestant for Take on Woods. Qualify for our new getaway to Vegas at the Fontainebleau. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. I had that moment. I was thinking on Senior Day on Friday, and Jaden Ledee and Lamont Butler, and they're going to lose a lot of good players again. And who's going to step up next year? I mean, are the Miles Bird and Elijah Saunders? Are these guys going to be able to take that next step? And I go, you know what? I'm going to stop worrying. They always do.
Yeah.
Under Dutcher, they always do. They find the next wave of talent that steps up and plays well the next season, and they'll probably be contending for the NCAA tournament and, in that 5-6 type seed range again next year.
Live in the now. Don't worry so much.
I know.
Yeah, just live.
But I love the consistency of San Diego
very,
State.
very
It's
consistent.
so good. All right, we got someone on the line. Yeah, let's do it. Let's play a little Town Woods. Billy got in first today. Good morning, Billy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good. Take on Woods brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Woods has left the studio. Billy will go first in our 5-question musical trivia challenge. If you can beat or tie Woods on the same 5 questions, you will be the first to qualify for our new grand prize 2-night stay at the Fontainebleau Las Vegas, dinner for 2. The Fontainebleau, built upon more than 70 years of sublime beauty, unparalleled service, timeless design. Book now at FontainebleauLasVegas.com. All right, give you the advantage here of picking our category while Woods remains in the dark. Your choices are Lucky Sevens. Those are 5 song titles that each contain exactly 7 words. Drive Time, 5 bands or artists that all released a song called Drive. And our new category, Beach Party, 5 answers with things you'll likely find at the beach. So, Lucky Sevens, Drive Time, or Beach Party. What's your category choice today, Billy?
Let's try Lucky 7, and we'll give it to Woods, too.
Lucky Sevens. Now,
We'll give it to Woods.
He'll never. Oh, you're going to tell him. I was going to say he'd never be able to figure out this category. It's a tough one. So today's category, 5 song titles. The only thing they have in common is they each contain exactly 7 words in the title. You'll have 60 seconds to get as many as you can. Say pass if you don't know. We'll come back if there's time left on the clock. First question is our 2-second song. Paulie will play some music. You need to give me that 7-word song title and the artist to score that point. Billy, are you ready?
Ready.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Billy. Let's take on Woods.
That's the Police. Every little thing she does is magic.
Correct. The London Bach Choir opens which 1969 Rolling Stone classic by singing, I Saw Her Today at the Reception?
You can't always get what you want.
Correct. Foreigner's biggest hit to this day remains which 1984 power ballad from their Agent Provocateur album?
I want to know what love is.
Correct. Which 1985 solo hit by Don Henley sounds like a party song, but is actually a scathing protest of U.S. involvement in the Contra War in Nicaragua?
All she wants to do is dance.
Correct. Even Paul Simon says he doesn't know what his 1970 single is about, but he did perform the song on Sesame Street in 1977.
Me and Julio down by the schoolyard?
Nice job,
Well
Billy.
done.
That is outstanding. You are in for Vegas. No one can take that away from you. A perfect 5 for 5 in exactly 60 seconds.
Wow.
Doesn't get better than that. He's given Woods the category. I see why. Billy, that was an outstanding game of Take on Woods. All right, Billy just killed it. 5 for 5. So I'm just going to let you know because he's going to give you the category.
Wow, okay.
So all you can
Jesus.
do, I'm putting the pressure on you.
Good Lord,
All
man.
you can do is match him today. It was a great game.
Best I can do is
He
a
wants
tie.
you to have the category. It's Lucky Sevens.
Okay, Lucky Sevens.
All song titles contain exactly 7 words.
Oh, Lord, okay.
60 seconds on the clock. Your
Jeez.
time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Billy.
Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic by the Police.
Correct. The London Bach Choir opens which 1969 Rolling Stones classic by singing I Saw Her Today at the Reception?
You can't always get what you want.
Correct. Foreigner's biggest hit to date remains which 1984 power ballad from their Agent Provocateur album?
I want to know what love is.
Correct. Which 1985 solo hit by Don Henley sounds like a party song, but is actually a scathing protest of the U.S. involvement in the Contra War in Nicaragua?
All she wants to do is dance?
Correct. Even Paul Simon says he doesn't know what this 1970s single is about, but he did perform the song on Sesame Street in 1977.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you know this, but you need this one.
I definitely need this one.
How much time?
5 seconds.
The Bridge Over the River Quad.
It is not! Oh! Billy with a 5-4 win. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
I don't know that I know that song.
Oh, yes, you do.
How's it go? I don't
Me
like
and
Paul.
Julio down by the schoolyard.
I don't
It's
like
weird.
Paul
It's a weird
Simon.
song.
I do
It's a
not
weird
like
song,
Paul.
and that was the difference. Great job, Billy. Stay on the line,
Billy.
Paulie will get your information. We have a qualifier. Wood said, "Hey, if I win every
chance.
every game in the month, can I go to the Fontainebleau?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" But
Try again in April, buddy.
guess
Man.
not in March. We've got Billy qualified now, early in the month.
That was
Well played game.
that would actually dome me out a little bit. when
Just
you
to
did
tell
that.
you that
Yeah.
to let you know you have to be perfect.
Billy, don't be a hero, buddy. Good job, man.
Very nice.
I like,
All right,
I like when they qualify. It's fine.
All right, let's. We got Don't Do This coming up next. I saw a Do This story. A former NFL wide receiver steps in
Yes.
as a
Oh,
hero.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
An absolute hero moment. We'll have that for you coming up next. We'll be back after a check of traffic with more Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. our longest running segment of Ben and Woods. Dates back to what? A month or two into our show?
Yep.
And we've been doing it consistently every single morning.
Almost 6 years or so.
A couple of stories that make you shake your head. We had to do this about 2 or 3 years ago to add some positivity to everyone's life. I will start Don't Do This Today. And I get other parts of the world, other parts of the country have their own traditions in sports. But you start to wonder whether this is an event that really needs to continue. It's Iditarod season in Alaska, the annual trail sled dog race that's like a couple of weeks long as they trek through the Alaskan wilderness with their team of sled dogs. I know a lot of people are unhappy because it can be very hard on the dogs, first of all. But this story was kind of interesting.
1,000 miles,
yeah,
by the way.
1,000-mile race in freezing winter temperatures in Alaska through the snow. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of endurance, and I'm sure there's a strategy that's involved. I don't know what it is, but this story was this was a bad one yesterday. A veteran musher had to kill a moose after it came across his dogs and got into a scuffle and injured one of his dogs shortly after the start of this year's Iditarod. Dalasivi said he informed officials of the race that he was forced to shoot the moose with his handgun in self-defense after the moose became entangled with the dogs and the musher. Not a lot of sporting events where you can run into a moose and that can be throw you off track early in the race. Not good. I mean, have you ever eaten moose meat? I've eaten moose meat before.
I have not eaten moose meat.
In Alaska. I've eaten moose meat.
You've been to Alaska?
I have. My aunt lives in Alaska. We went and visited when I was very young, about 5 or 6 years old.
Learn something new.
Every single
Went to
day.
Anchorage, went on a snowmobile, went out and had moose meat and the whole 9 yards. It was very, very cold. We went in winter, in December. In fact, I remember the trip because on the way back, the Chargers and Dolphins played their incredible playoff game in 1982, January 1982, overtime. The Kellen Winslow game where he's coming off the field. We watched that at the airport on the way home in Seattle on our connection back to San Diego.
Now this is the second time in 2 years they've had to shoot a moose.
Oh, really? It's happened before.
Dalasivi is the guy's name, and the moose became entangled with the dogs. He said, "It fell on my sled. It was sprawled on the trail. I gutted it the best I could, but it was ugly. So we had to shoot it and then gut it to move it, I would imagine. You gut it, start moving the guts and then pull the carcass off. It's really very cool, guys. Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Luckily, that doesn't happen in baseball.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's not, I'm not from there. So people there.
Yeah, the 1,000-mile race will end sometime next week when the winning musher comes off the Bering Sea ice and crosses under the buried arch finish line in Nome.
It just sounds like the worst event of all time. Just
really
for multiple
bad.
reasons. It's cold and mush. All the dogs just
if there's a sporting event I ever didn't want to go see,
that's it.
There's the one.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. NBA game and that for me. I'm good. Let's have my fill. Speaking of the NBA, this is a pretty funny story. You can laugh about it now if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, but Anthony Edwards actually did not get the start last night. It looked like he was late for tip-off, and his quote was, "I swear I wasn't pooping." The announcers said, long lines at the bathroom.
Wouldn't that be an acceptable excuse?
That actually is a better excuse than the one he gave.
When you got to go, you got to go.
He said, I lost track of time, which is, he's a young guy. He's 22
What was he
years
doing,
old.
playing Candy Crush
I have
on his
no
phone
idea.
or something?
You don't, at some point, don't you look around and go, where the hell is everyone?
Right.
Is it now?
Game
God.
time?
Did we change tip? So he missed about 35 seconds of the game, but they show him kneeling down by the scores table, almost kind of like biting his nails. You screwed up, so you're like, all right, yeah.
You can't hide.
Lost track of time. He got in, had a great game. The Timberwolves won by 5. So he played 34 minutes, 13 points. They won by 5.
I always have that fear, I'm on at 6:20 and 11:20 and you get done and it's 5:30. Oh, I'm done with everything. So I start working on something else and I'll set alarms just to make sure
that you don't miss your
forget
hit.
my window. I just get distracted.
Have
and
you
all of a
ever
sudden
done it?
I look up. In 20 years, I don't think I've ever missed it. A couple of times, we have directors will yell, "Hey, Ben, you coming?" It's like 2 minutes away. And I'm going, "Oh, dang, yeah."
Yeah, I was on my way, bud.
Oh yeah,
Stop riding me, man.
I was just putting my tie on or something.
I got it, dude.
I don't think I've ever actually missed an entire hit.
No, he was 35 seconds late. I'm sure it felt like an eternity when he was kneeling there by the scorer's table, but they could all laugh about it now.
All right, finally, speaking of Edwards, how about this story? Former NFL player.
DD mega doo-doo.
Yeah, this is a mega doo-doo. Braylon Edwards stepped in, saved the life of an 80-year-old man who was being viciously attacked in a locker room in a suburban Detroit YMCA, police said yesterday. Quote from Jeff King, the police chief in Farmington Hills: "If it wasn't for that intervention, we could very easily be talking about someone's death."
Wow.
Authorities have filed an attempted murder charge against a 20-year-old man for the incident Friday at the rec center. Edwards says he was just minding his business. He heard a dispute going on. The noise escalates, he said. Then you can hear some pushing and shoving, so you know what fighting sounds like. But once I hear a thud, that's when I got up and turned around. And the police chief says he absolutely saved that man's life. I've been a police officer going on 29 years. When these assaults are ongoing, really bad things can happen. They call it's a vicious, senseless attack, they said. At the end of the day, Edwards says that's what you do. So many people don't get involved when they hear things.
Or just grab their phones and start filming it.
That's also common nowadays. But he stepped in and gets to be the hero of the story at the YMCA. Why is a former NFL... Don't they usually get fancier gyms than the Y? I mean, you're a Y guy. You've always...
It's hard. I go to the Y for one specific day. Just legs, because they have everything there that I need.
Leg day at the Y.
And no offense. I mean, I try to avoid it when I can. There's a lot of nudity. A lot. It's a lot.
80-year-old man
There's
nudity.
a lot of nudity.
Hopefully
and
not in a fight. But...
Not in a fight, but there's a lot of brain there. It's everywhere you turn. Thatches of hair, and it's tough.
Does that not happen at other gyms?
No.
What
Never.
happens at other gyms?
Yes,
Nothing.
it does.
It not work.
I work out at home, so I haven't been to an actual gym in
I've been
years.
to LA Fitness.
I had two different gyms.
Wieners everywhere.
One is Choose in Encinitas. The other one is the Y. You go into the Choose bathroom, it's empty. There's no one. I might be taking a leak or something, but there's not.
Is it because it's too expensive and no one else can
Choose
afford
is
it?
cheap.
That's cheap too.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
Because the
It's
Y,
like $10 a
obviously,
month. The Y is
people
expensive.
Go, 'cause the Y is more expensive.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's way more expensive.
Probably the most expensive
Really?
out of the
What?
main
100%.
the mainstream gyms.
100%. I don't get it.
That's not how it's supposed to work.
But you walk into that bathroom, and I'm not exaggerating. I exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating. There's 15 to 20 75 plus nude men walking around at all times. It makes you wonder for a second. It's like, is this a meetup place? What's happening? Everyone's nude. Everyone.
You ever been to a Turkish bath?
I have.
You have?
Well, no, it was a Korean spa.
Oh.
My wife sent me to one years ago.
What is a Korean spa?
Well, she said
Padres are going to find out here in a couple of weeks.
She said, you're going to like this place. She said, it is. You walk in, and they have cold tubs and hot tubs and the whole thing. It's just what you've been looking for. I think she sent me as a prank. Because when I walked in, the guy said, you have to all nude.
Other
and take
cultures
a shower.
aren't as
They're
hung
not
up
as hung
about
up about
nudity as we are.
But
for
I'll
sure.
tell you, when I walked in, I walked in and was like, there was a bunch of men in there spying it up. And I felt like I was like, hi, what's going on? Can I please put a bathing suit on? Some board shorts, and I get in the tub. And I was there for about 15 minutes, and I called her from the parking lot. I'm like, how dare you? And she started laughing. I think she did it as a prank. She's never copped to it. But, yeah, it made me, I wasn't comfortable. Would you be?
No, I'm not good with
And
nudity.
she went with her girlfriends to another one, and it was the same. The ladies, you have to take all your clothes off. I was like, well, that's pretty hot. You guys should kiss. But
I don't want to go anywhere where there's a rule that you have to take all your clothes off. That's just... Just not comfortable there.
In the bedroom, I like to leave a shirt on. You know what I mean? It's so uncomfortable.
I mean, the only time I really take all my clothes off is in the shower. That's about it.
That's pretty much it, dude.
I like to have the frosted glass and just be very private in my shower.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you straight up. Straight up.
Well, that's Don't and Do This for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Good for Braylon Edwards for saving
Yes,
the guy. It
correct.
turned into a discussion of locker room nudity instead, somehow. All right, we'll come back.
Got some breaking news in baseball.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the breaking news in baseball when we return. Does it have anything to do with the Scott Boras client? Because he
kind of.
he implied that there was some
maybe
some-
Chew.
implied that there was some interest in his clients yesterday, and I was getting a real.
Well, I promise you, there's another team in Major League Baseball that will be giving Scott Boras a call, maybe right now.
All right, interesting. All right, I'll find out what that's all about when we come back with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
That was an interesting conversation.
That was an interesting
Pitching
conversation.
injuries. We
Yes,
were discussing
we
pitching,
were discussing pitching
injuries. Nothing to do with naked
UCL,
locker room
no.
talk at all during the break.
Nothing.
So a couple of teams are actually dealing with recently signed free agent starters. The big news, possibly season-ending news, coming this morning from the Boston Red Sox and Lucas Giolito, who they're talking about UCL. That's Tommy John. That's potentially end of the year for a guy they went out and signed this offseason to a 2-year, $38.5 million contract.
Jeff Passan tweets 13 minutes ago, brutal news. Initial imaging showed Boston Red Sox starter Lucas Giolito likely has a partially torn UCL and flexor strain and could miss the 2024 season. Giolito signed a 2-year deal with Boston, may need surgery to repair the right elbow damage. What a bummer for the Red Sox. And listen, I'm already seeing a lot of people going, oh, well, Snell to the Red Sox, Montgomery to the Red Sox. I don't know that that's, I don't know that that's necessarily the move for the Red Sox, who probably were not going to compete.
It's tough. You can't just wave the white flag if you're the Boston Red Sox.
But
when we did our Tier 1 tour, we all agreed they're overmatched in that division.
Fifth-place team?
And neither Blake Snell nor Jordan Montgomery
puts them over the hump.
Especially without Lucas Giolito. Neither of them makes a difference. You're just throwing a bunch of money.
I was going to say, good
to
money
still
after bad.
probably finish at the bottom of your division. That's not a wise way to go out and spend free agent money. You go out and spend if you think you're one piece away and this guy can put you over the top into the playoffs or win a division or win a World Series, yeah, then that investment is worth it. But going and spending premium on a guy that replaces the pitcher, the other guy who wasn't going to be a difference maker for you anyway, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Actually, if any team wants to go out, I saw that Sonny Gray's dealing with a hamstring injury. Yeah. Nothing nearly as serious as Lucas Giolito. Of course, the Cardinals signed Sonny Gray to a 3-year, $75 million deal. They're at least a team that, can credibly talk about getting back to the playoffs, bouncing back. I think they're projected to be near the top of that division, or, depending on how they do.
They had them winning the division.
To me, it makes more sense for the Cardinals to go out and sign another pitcher like a Montgomery or even a Snell than the Red Sox to go out and just throw money at one of those guys when I don't think it makes a huge difference. Now, yesterday, Scott Boras was quoted as saying he just recently got calls from 4 new teams on Blake Snell, I believe. But he didn't name the teams or the level of interest. And, I mean, to me, it had the big time energy of, like, do you have any friends at all? Oh, yeah, you just don't know them.
Yeah, they're in Canada.
Yeah, no, they're
Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
area.
no, you wouldn't know them.
I got a girlfriend.
But I'm getting a lot of calls.
Another school.
I'm getting a lot of calls on Blake
I get
Snell.
so many calls, it would blow your mind.
You don't know who they are, but they're real. This interest is very real in my clients.
When I say trust me, trust me. He also made some, he did his bit about fishing, and you got to throw bait in the water, and sometimes the fish bite. And so he's really losing it at this point.
It feels like Scott Boras is taking an L this offseason for the first time maybe ever.
He looks different. I saw him at the presser, I guess. It was 3 people. It was Boras. Who's the guy who just got signed? Chapman. And maybe Farhan. Somebody was sitting up there. It was like a 3-person chair. And he's looking, and he just looks defeated. He looks different. He's usually, the chest is out, and, he's tan, he's looking good. He looks defeated a little bit.
You can hear, like, in a few days, you can hear him probably going, it's collusion. What's going on here? Yeah. They hate me. They're not signing my clients. They're teaming up. I need to file some sort of grievance or something. He's so used to getting, record numbers for all of his clients. And obviously this offseason was all about Shohei, not a Boras client. Yamamoto, not a Boras client. And the Boras guys who have all been waiting and holding out, the short-term deal, let's bet on ourselves,
the
sort
opt-outs,
of deal, opt-outs.
The Matt Chapman, the Chris Rose rotation yesterday was talking about, they're like, Matt Chapman just left a boatload of money on the table with Scott Boras as his agent, and kind of a desperation move, I think.
His biggest success is probably Jung Ho Lee. who was a Boris client, signed that it seemed like overpriced deal with the Giants earlier this offseason. But rest of the guys, not what he led us to believe they might be getting this offseason.
Yeah, no question, man. So I look, it could very well happen. I mean, if you're the Red Sox and you're their ownership, it's like the worst thing that can happen to you. You had a terrible year last year. You have improved your team on the margins by adding a Giolito, which, by the way, he did not come super cheap. After the year he had last year, we're like, he should sign for $1 million. He signed for a ton of money. So you're like, okay, this will placate these crazy, rabid Boston fans for a while. And, we'll see if he can eat some innings and we can win some ball games. Bro, now what do you do? Do you have to go out? Do you have to for your fans, Ben? You heard what your superstar third baseman, Rafael Devers, said. He said, we need more guys, and we need more guys now.
Now they have less guys.
Now they have fewer guys. And do you have to go out now and placate not only your fan base, but do you have to placate your third baseman by essentially overpaying maybe for a Montgomery or a Snell? I think Montgomery's a very obvious fit for them, but I know they didn't want to spend a lot of money, and now they may be forced to. Is that ever the right move? Is it placating your fans? I mean, if you were going to get Jordan Montgomery, you should have already gotten Jordan Montgomery if you thought he could help you win.
I think if you sign a guy simply as a bit of a PR move to placate fans, it may work in the short term. But guess what? If you still end up losing 93 games, your fans aren't going to be placated. They're not going to go back, well, we had a horrible season, but at least we went out and signed Montgomery at the start of the year. They're going to be just as unhappy as they were if you did it cheaply and lost 93 games. So if I'm the owner and I'm going, hey, we're finishing with a losing record no matter what, fans are going to be upset at the end of the season no matter what.
Swear it.
Then I'd rather just do it a little cheaper than go out and spend a bunch of money that's not going to make a big difference this offseason.
Jeff in the chat said that is all the fans complain about on WEEI. Yeah, I'd like to tune into some WEEI today to hear the reaction, Paulie, if we can make that happen at some point.
So Boris, I don't know if he was speaking it into existence, but he also said yesterday there is a pitching panic going on in baseball. We've got so many starting pitchers that are now compromised, maybe short-term, some long-term, and the calls for elite starters are starting to increase. Maybe he knew something that we didn't, because at the time he said that, I go, I haven't heard about a ton of pitching injuries this offseason. What is he making up? Maybe he knew about Giolito and Sonny Gray and short-term and long-term potentially compromised pitchers going forward. But I've been looking around baseball, and I thought it's been a fairly calm knock on wood spring when it comes to injuries around the league.
Our beloved Katie Wu just 4 minutes ago tweeted it's a mild hamstring strain for Sonny Gray. There's no timetable for his recovery currently, but his opening day start is in question. So, kind of a blow for them as well. This is really the...
we saw Seth Lugo, very mild hamstring strain, they said last season. It still kept him out like a month.
Yeah. I thought it was a calf.
It was calf, not hamstring.
Yeah. Ronald Acuna Jr. had a little issue. They're kind of working him slowly back in. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we can all talk about the results of spring training, and it's really about health. I mean, just getting your guys through the spring training, the rigors of it, the constant running, the working out, everything that they're doing. If you can get through it healthy, you've won. I mean, that's the first win of the season. Getting, your starting rotation and your starting nine coming out of spring training healthy, that is an ultimate dub. So that's what we're hoping for our Padres here. But yeah, man, there's still a lot up in the air right now. But here's an update on Acuna. Sigh of relief for Ronald Acuna Jr. Diagnosis of right knee meniscus irritation, nothing more serious, was confirmed by Dr. Neil Elitrash. Is that how you say it? Elitrash?
Elitrash.
Elitrash in L.A. He'll gradually increase baseball activities, expected to be ready for opening day. So they were a little bit on pins and needles for the last week or so.
I mean, you mentioned Giolito, just last thought here, and $38.5 million, so over $19 million a year. A 2-year deal is the worst scenario now for the Red Sox, because if he ends up having Tommy John, he will spend all year recovering, probably most of next year. At the most, you're going to get maybe 3 to 4 months out of him next year. And if he pitches well, then then what, do we have to re-sign him for a bunch more money again? Are they going to do a Clevenger where, like, let's extend him now a couple of more years? Do you really want to throw more money at the guy you just overpaid who's not going to give you an inning for a year and a half at this point?
Man. Sucks all around.
Just what's going to end up being a terrible, terrible signing.
So now what do you do
Sox.
if you're the Red Sox? If you're not going to pivot to a Snell or Montgomery, do you now just start unloading guys? do you start, I mean, it's not, again, let's be honest. It's not like Giolito being healthy was going to put them over the top. He really wasn't. He really wasn't. There's still massive holes on that team and in that rotation. So, but now is it an opportunity to maybe trade for a lower level? You're going to need to eat those innings because that was one thing he was good at, was eating innings.
All right, speaking of terrible signings and a terrible trade that preceded the terrible signing, let's check traffic. I just want to bring up the Russell Wilson news from yesterday briefly here before the top of the hour. That's coming up next here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Draft the Oil Change, your 15-minute instant draft the oil change. Got a couple of problems here, guys. Southbound side of the 805 at the southbound 15 connector ramp, an accident involving a motorcycle. They were talking about having to shut that ramp down to clear that, so maybe give yourself a little extra time if that is your route. Also an accident on westbound King Freeway. This is right before the 805. 3 vehicles in the center divide. Northbound 5 before the Coronado Bridge, collision over to the right shoulder. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-through oil change. It only takes 15 minutes and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com, SoCalOilChange.com. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So the news yesterday that the Broncos are going to be moving on and releasing Russell Wilson puts the Russell Wilson trade and signing into the conversation as worst ever general managerial moves in the history of sports. The Broncos, you remember, 2 years ago, sent 5 draft picks, including 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 3 players to the Seattle Seahawks to acquire Russell Wilson. Then they went out and signed him to a 5-year, $242.6 million deal after his arrival, in which he played 2 seasons and wasn't the worst player in football. He actually had surprisingly decent numbers this last year.
Paulie read his numbers today, and I was blown away. I know they started slow, and then they had a little run. Hit 26.
Not a good year as a team.
Right.
I mean,
ultimately,
heated up a little bit.
Ultimately, he went 11-19 in his 30 starts.
But
for the Broncos
this past season, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. I think Paulie said his 3rd highest completion rating.
Fine year.
Fine. Like, that's absolutely fine. Is it a personality clash between him and Sean Payton? All I know, Ben, is whatever the reason that they're done with him and moving on in Denver, they do like to cycle through quarterbacks a lot. It's going to be the biggest cap hit in NFL history.
By more than double.
$85 million of dead money cap hit.
It's the biggest before that was Matt Ryan, $40.5 million from the Falcons in 2022.
Oh.
It absolutely hamstrings the Broncos, a team that needs help and now can't really go out and get it to the levels that other teams will be able to over these next 2 years because of the Russell Wilson dead money. And while I'm generally been a proponent of salary caps and their effect on leagues because of the competitive balance you get when, every team is operating on a level playing field and everyone has to spend all that cap money every year. It just ends up, which is the smarter team? Who makes the best decisions with the money they have? It's not about who goes way over the luxury tax and who is, spending $50 million on their roster and pocketing all the revenue sharing money. In the NFL, you spend your salary cap money. This is the drawback, though, because when you make a mistake like this, there's no way to really dig out from under it.
Yeah.
There's no way to fix this for the Broncos for a couple of years. It's going to be very hard for them to compete until they can clear out that dead cap money, because that's 3 or 4 good players that you're going to have to forego now over the next couple of years just so you can carry that dead cap money for Russell Wilson.
It's crazy. It is just crazy, the experience that has happened in Denver. If you're a Denver Broncos fan, I do feel for you. You've run through like a dozen quarterbacks in the last 10, 12 years, it feels like. And each one's supposed to be, the second coming of Elway and Manning, and they're just not out there. And you haven't chosen wisely with your quarterbacks at all. And this is a huge hit. The draft capital too is just insane.
Now he'll land
I'm looking
somewhere.
back here. So they had Peyton Manning in 2012 after Tebow and Kyle Orton. So 3 years of just Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Then you had Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler in 2015. Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch. Brock Osweiler, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock again in 2020, Jeff Driscoll, Teddy Bridgewater, Russell Wilson, Jarrett Stidham.
Just throwing stuff at the wall.
Just trying to find a guy, man. It's been almost 10 years now.
He'll land somewhere. Teams that need quarterbacks, Raiders, Bucks,
Giants moving on from their quarterback.
I've heard an intriguing, maybe a backup role, with the Browns or something, where he could come in and be like Flacco last season, but we'll see what happens. All right, we're 2 hours in. Come back, hour number 3, Tier 1 Tour. Sammy Levitt, all coming up with Ben and Woods on The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Tuesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. Great to be here with you guys. I am Woodsy. I am the president of Ben and Woods. Paul Reindl is my Secretary of State, I believe.
That was VP.
VP. Were you the VP?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But Ben was the Secretary of Homeland Exploration.
Yes.
That's right. That was the title we assigned you. Well, but you guys know what that means. All good things must come to an end, I guess, or at least a re-election. Today is.
We don't have term limits here on Ben
There are
Woods,
no
do we?
term limits. No, none. So
You can just run for office again.
Yeah.
You're not termed out.
Yeah, I'm not termed out. So it's an election year. And Ben was reminding everyone in the open, if you've got those ballots at home, fill them out, vote for whoever you choose, but please do vote. Now, that means...
This is something we did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Last time
Yeah.
election season came around.
Yeah, we needed to elect a leader, and the people spoke, and they elected your old pal Woods. And I think I've done a good job, honestly, and we can talk about it. But we did do our version of attack ads because it's very common. I mean, if you have your television on at all... I saw one last night for some guy. I don't know who he is. It's running for Congress or something. And, I will lower taxes. And all I think, I say out loud, like, will you? I will clean up everything. Will you? It just gets so
She
old.
took $8 from a pharmaceutical company.
Right,
I mean,
right.
they just will try to pull
I'm
out
gonna
everything.
clean up the corruption. Are you? It's ridiculous at this point. So, yeah, we did our own attack ads. I forgot that we did this.
This is November of 2022.
So we will be having another election, right, in November?
Oh, yeah,
So
we
we're
have
on the
to.
campaign trail, as it were.
So we created some attack ads. We'll start with Ben. This was Ben's political attack ad
I forgot
on Woods.
this.
Stephen Woods wants your vote. But is he a radio host you can trust? What really happened to his last station? We may never know the truth. There are so many skeletons in Woods' closet, his wife begged him not to run.
Don't do this.
Publicly, Woods wants you to speak up and be heard. Louder! But privately, he's not interested in your problems.
I don't say it twice, dude.
His record on human feline rights is questionable at best.
No S. I realized that.
But he's ready to take your job and replace you with an aquatic mammal.
Let's go, seal.
Vote for Stephen Woods, and you're only going one place fast.
Welcome to the torture chamber.
I'm Ben Higgins, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the Cilio Pack 2022.
Forgot about that.
I love it. I don't even remember the things that we've done on this show, so it's all new to me, too.
Yeah. And I did one in return.
Yes, you did.
As a retort?
Let me pull that up right now.
Smokes.
This was Woodsy's attack ad in retort to Ben. Let's see here. Woodsy. Boom.
Ben Higgins for mornings? Let's get serious for a moment. Hawaii, Santa Barbara, New York, Hawaii again. Will he even be there to answer the bell?
F this place.
Ben Higgins, man of the people. Have you ever seen Ben at a regular restaurant with regular people?
Ew.
Golf trips, vacations, cross-country excursions to eat farm-to-table food among the well-placed elites. That's the real Ben Higgins.
How much cocaine is a lot of cocaine?
Can we trust someone who's never said a curse word?
Dang it.
They call him Colonel Budget, and he's the first to worry about how the Padres spend their money.
The one guy you could trade would be Jake Cronenworth.
Right.
Possibly curtailing championships for San Diego, all while eating caviar and laughing from his ivory tower.
It's true.
I'm Stephen Woods. You better believe I approve this message.
Paid for by Citizens Against the Elite.
The CAE, Citizens Against the Elite. So we'll have more coming. I'm, probably gonna.
Oh God, I forgot all about that.
I forgot those two. So what's changed in the last? Couple
Well, I
years?
mean,
under my leadership, I mean, the show has reached pretty big heights. I would
We've
say
never seen success.
never
like
seen
this.
success like this. I mean,
even I have to acknowledge, as your opponent, that it's been a successful couple of years here.
yeah, you can say that.
I think I would point out that if Tier 1s would like to continue that level of success, that perhaps the most stable hand on the ship would not be yours. That there's better chance of everything exploding all of a sudden, similar to the last attack ad with Woods at the helm, as opposed to with my more steady hand on the wheel.
Yeah, I mean it's a theory certainly, but when things are good, if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix it.
That's not how we think anymore.
You know,
everything always needs to be fixed all the time. That's the new motto around here.
Well, we will definitely. We can. I mean, we have to wait till November to do this election.
I mean,
that's the
election
tough
season goes all year long. We can.
It really does.
Series of ads throughout the year if we'd like to really ramp up the rhetoric.
Okay,
as it were.
This is not. It's not. I'm going to be off.
East County Chris pointing out maybe trading Jake was a good idea. Yeah, the marketplace of ideas sometimes. Little perspective.
It's true.
After a couple of years, shows you that that wasn't the worst idea I ever had a couple of years ago.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Still never got an answer to how much cocaine is a lot of cocaine.
I mean, it depends on the person. To be honest with you, I don't know how to answer that question. But yeah, well, listen, yeah, Brian just made a good point here. You did mislead our audience for an entire season talking about run differential, and that's going to be hard for people to stomach. But as far as the business of Ben and Woods, it's never been better. It's never been better. Never, ever been better. And I think that you stay with the captain that got you there. That's what you do.
Well, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and election day. Scandals, skeletons in the closet that come out.
Be campaigning across the county
Very
over
true.
the next 6-7 months.
I mean, I would like to remain your president. It's something that's important to me.
May have to throw my my counter investigative team just to dig up some of your background.
I mean, it's out there. Everybody knows. I've talked openly about it. I've talked very openly.
We know
about
what
my
you've
background.
talked openly about.
Sure.
What haven't you talked about?
That's
is the
true.
Question.
That's true. I could ask the same of you.
What really happened to Woods' old radio station killed me.
So you were with me. They pulled the plug. There was nothing. I had nothing to do with it. You were there. We were there together.
I don't know, everything was humming just fine before Woods got there.
That's true. That's true.
I may need to bring in some of the heavy hitters, like some of your former partners.
Oh, please don't.
That's
to
dirty
discuss.
politics right there.
That is very dirty. You don't want to get. Here's the thing. I don't like to get in the mud, but I thrive in the mud. I'm able to do it. I don't like to do it, but I'm happy. I'm happy and very capable of playing in the mud as well.
Dub J says, "Is Paulie the third party candidate?"
Ooh, Paulie's the independent.
Yeah,
I would not
work out for
mind.
me. Maybe Paulie siphons off some of the votes for Woods, and I emerge.
That
as
could happen.
The consensus candidate in the middle.
I would not be. I would rather have Paul be the president of Ben and Woods than you. If I'm being honest with you. Does that make sense? We could tell the exchange we had last night via text.
Sure, why not?
I said to Ben, I go, guys, we got to get something going. Like, we got to do something to break up the monotony a little bit.
You said here. This is exactly what you said last night. It was where is it? It was just to the three of us, right?
Yeah, it was just ours. He hates when I do this too. And then he got scared because he could see me losing it.
We need something to break up the bleeping monotony, guys.
Yeah. Just it feels a little formulaic right now.
Yeah.
This was actually a really good thing.
And I go, feeling a little restless. We just had a massively successful trip to spring training, an epic SEALs bit, all within the last week.
Yeah.
Why are you feeling like we're in a rut of some sort?
And what did I say back?
You said not restless, just formulaic. That was the past. Also, got to strive for greatness every day.
That's right.
To be honest.
As your president, that's how I feel.
And I said, I think you also have to have the discipline to execute what works and what the audience comes to us for. It's a balancing act. I don't want to feel complacent.
Yes.
But if you're always trying to reinvent the wheel every single day, that's never going to work. You can't try something different every single day.
Sure you can.
No, you can't.
You absolutely can.
No.
We just did.
This was not
That
planned.
was
We
what
did
I
not-
needed.
We did not talk to each other last night and go, hey, by the way, tomorrow's election day. Let's revisit our old attack ads. This just kind of happened
It just
organically,
happened.
and I'm glad it did.
I'm glad it did. That's what we did.
Me too. I'm glad it did as well.
Precisely what
But this
we
is why your constant worrying is silly, because this happens every single day.
That's
Something
true.
comes up, and we have a good time, and the audience has a good time, and we all have a fun morning.
That's true. I agree.
But isn't that true?
It is true.
It is.
Yes.
I mean, who knew we'd be discussing locker room nudity for an entire segment?
I had
this
an
morning?
idea.
You did think that was probably going to happen?
I had a small idea.
All right. Let's see what we've got coming up in the second half of the show today. Sammy Levitt should be joining us. I didn't see as Mike Schilt what time he's scheduled to talk today.
I believe in like 10 minutes.
All right. So Mike Schilt will give you an update on what's going on, and then Sammy will join us later today from Padres spring training later this hour.
Got a lineup out, guys.
Okay.
There is a San Diego Padres lineup out.
Well, let's do that right now.
Okay.
Real quick, Dan in the chat says, I'll vote for Ben for president if Delilah becomes the first lady.
Hey there, Delilah.
Campaign song.
That's going to be...
I'm actually going to use that against him.
We are seeding the tournament of drops this week.
We are.
I mean, that's got to be a 1 seed.
Listen to this banger of a lineup. You ready? Left field, Jacob Marcy leading off. You got Jose.
Left again.
Yeah, in left.
Left again.
You got Jose Ozokar in center. You got Graham Pauley at first again. You got Campy. Forced him to go out there all the way out to Salt River. It's going to be the DH, Ben. Tyler Wade playing short. Rosario at second today. You got Brett Sullivan behind the dish. You got Tim LaCastro still looking to make this squad stay hot out and right. You got Matthew Batten at third base, and you got Avila on the bump.
I think the fact that Marcy, who is a natural center fielder, continues to be put in left, and Jackson Merrill, who is, of course, a shortstop, continues to be put in center,
Right.
cannot be ignored as to what the main plan for the Padres is right now for Jackson Merrill.
And Graham Pauley, who was a third baseman. He is now exclusively a first baseman for the San Diego Padres. So a lot of mixing and matching. And when you have young athletic talent, you can do that, and they certainly have a lot of that. So Sammy did catch up with Jacob Marcy with some interesting audio yesterday, too. Seems like a good kid.
He did. I enjoyed hearing from Jacob Marcy a little bit, and the camaraderie that he and some of the other young Padres have developed in the minor leagues together, which is, I think what A.J. Preller kind of going for in sticking some of those guys together and keeping them and promoting them at the same time to Double-A last year so they could develop a little bit more of something they haven't had, honestly, in the minor leagues. And that's a group that comes up together and makes it to the big leagues. So could be on their way to seeing that at some point this season.
No doubt.
All right, let's take a time out. Our Tier 1 tour is coming up next. An actual team that's tried to do some things in the offseason. Now, they got a long way to go, but the Kansas City Royals are next up as we continue to look at each team in turn on our way to opening day. Tier 1 tour is coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Tier 1 tour takes us to Kansas City today. I've never been to Kansas City.
Oh, I have.
Woodsy has been to Kauffman Stadium, seen the fountains.
I had to poop on the side of the road on my way to Kauffman
We've
Stadium.
heard that story
Remember
as
that?
well.
That
Somewhere
was
on the road between Wichita and Kansas City.
flat tire. This is one of the worst days.
Not great. Neither were the Kansas City Royals in 2023. 56 and 106, last place.
It's not good.
In the AL Central. And before we discuss this year's Royals, and they have made some moves to improve, I want to bring up the point that it was very rare. 100-loss seasons were very rare when we were growing up. I mean, from, in modern baseball, from 1966 through 2017, there was only one season in which there were more than two teams that lost 100 games.
That's
that was
insane.
That was 2002 when there were 4 100-loss teams. Now, 2018, there were 3 teams. 2019, there were 4 teams. 2021, there were 4 teams. 2022, there were 4 teams. And last year, again, there were 4 teams that lost over 100 games last season. There has been an expansion in the bottom of baseball every single year. And there's also been an expansion at the top. The haves, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer in baseball. And the Royals have generally been lumped into that poor category of teams that threaten to lose 100 games every year. Padres have never lost 100 games, I believe, in franchise history. They've never won 100 games either.
Fair.
They've always been somewhere in between. But that's always been kind of a dividing line, losing 100 games. Now,
it's a tough year.
A team that loses 96 is a really bad team. But 100 losses kind of puts you at that next level of truly abysmal. And we see that more and more every year, and that's not a good thing. To have more truly abysmal teams in baseball every year. It's not good for fans, not good for competition. It's just bad for the sport, and we're seeing more and more of it.
They have 2 players in particular that I am just madly in love with, and one is Bobby Witt Jr. They put out a really cool video yesterday.
It was terrific.
Terrific work.
Kind of a sitcom-y style preview for the season for Bobby Witt Jr.
And they just extended him, so he's going to be a Royal for a while. He is a guy that puts asses in the seats. He's fun to watch. He plays a really nice shortstop. He's fast. He hits for power. He's projected to have a really, really strong year for them, Benny. The other one that I am madly in love with and love watching him pitch is Cole Reagans, acquired from the Texas Rangers last year. And, man, what a steal for them. I mean, a total steal. He's going to be a top-of-the-rotation guy for them. See, he'll be on innings limit and all that, but he is spectacular. But where they get interesting is their starting pitching. After Reagans, they line up with Waka, Lugo, Brady Singer, and Jordan Lyles. And that rotation can keep them in ball games. It absolutely can keep them in ball games. And you look at their lineup, and it's a bunch of guys really that you haven't heard a lot about, Ben. The Michael Masseys of the world, the Kyle Isbells of the world. Like, they still have Salvi Perez. They've got Vinny Pasquantino, who was coming off an injury last year. Like watching Vinny play as well. They're a fun team. They're a young team for the most part. They do have some veterans like Salvi, as I mentioned, but I like them. I project them to play obviously better than last year. They got them at 73.5 wins. I think I'd take the over on that.
They really overhauled the pitching side of it with not just Waka and Lugo, but 5 new relievers joining the bullpen. Now, it remains to be seen. Can Michael Waka do it for would be a 3rd straight, solid season? Can Seth Lugo duplicate what he did with the Padres and maybe even up his innings this year for the Royals? Not the worst bet. They're leaving Ruben Niebla, a situation that was good for them. Will it be the same in Kansas City? Don't know. I mean, there's no superstars there. As you said, you like Reagans, and he's interesting. But Waka and Lugo as a 2 and 3 are a little different than Waka and Lugo as a 4 and 5. Like the Padres had them slotted in last year. So you're asking a lot of both of those guys. Lineup-wise, not a ton of changes. They did add Hunter Renfroe as a free agent in the offseason and expect him to play some outfield. Added to their bench, too, with another former Padre and Adam Frazier. And Garrett Hampson was also signed as a free agent early in the offseason. Clearly a better team than they were last year.
Yeah, clearly.
It's a better team, but then again, it's a very, very low bar that they have to clear. It's a bad division, though, and you could see if things break right for the Kansas City Royals, they could be that like surprise team in baseball that everybody's talking about in like August is like, hey, look at this team's a contender. They could be, at the trade deadline looking to add they must have some money stored up after how little they've spent on their team in years. You'd like to think that if they were anywhere near, that ownership would authorize, maybe a big move at the trade deadline.
Yeah. Oh, they did add Austin Nola as well.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's a lot of former Padres here. You got Austin Nola. You've got Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier, not Todd Frazier.
Yep.
You've got Hunter Renfroe. You got Waka and Lugo. And Jordan Lyles was a Padre, was he not?
That's true,
Yeah,
he was.
Bunch of ex-Pods. It's the Midwest Padres. So enjoy that. If you're a Kansas City fan, I think you have reason to be semi-excited about this year. Watching. You
still got Sal Perez.
You got Salvi, and you got Reagans, who's just incredible, and you got Bobby Witt Jr., who is awesome.
So,
They got like 9 catchers. They've got Sandy Leon. They've got Carlos Fernandez. They got a bunch of. Oh no, he's their reliever. They got Sandy Leon. They've got Austin Nola, as I mentioned. You got Salvi Perez. You got Freddie Fermin. They're stacked with mid-level catcher.
If I'm a Royals fan, I'm approaching this season with a cautious optimism that I haven't felt in a few years, at least since the World Series winning days of the mid 2000s. Boy, that wasn't that long ago. What was it, 2015 that they won a World Series?
Yeah. And they
less than 10 years
two appearances. Ago? Yeah, 100%.
Man, things had
Dance's
turned
KC
fast
is going to
for them.
suck again. They've bolstered their rotation so much. Obviously, it's health dependent and all that, but I like the moves that they've made. I think it's been an exciting offseason for the Royals, as much as it can be in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, you like to see any team go out and make some key additions. Not huge, obviously, names, but they went out and spent on a couple of guys. I mean, the Waka signing, what did Waka end up getting? Exactly what the Padres could have locked him in for with the club option?
They're saying the Padres have lost 100 or more 5 times, Benny. Fire sale year, 93,
did they?
61 and 101.
Oh, that's too
First
bad.
year of existence, 52 and 110. That's
that
before
was
your
bad.
time.
That was bad.
Yeah.
My lifetime, I don't remember that many, but you're right. They have lost 100 games.
Yeah, that sucks.
Incorrect. You can use
It
that against me
happens.
in an attack ad.
I'm going to.
That's for sure.
I
I make some
100%.
mistakes every once in a
Yeah,
while.
it happens.
It's been a while, at least.
It happens.
It's been a while since it's happened.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Are we done with the NL Central, Paulie? We moving on to the West now, or is there another team left on the Tier 1 tour?
Give me 1 second, I will tell you that. Let's see, Tier 1 tour. We just finished the Royals. We got the Twins tomorrow.
No, we still have one more AL
And then
Central
we
team
head
to
to
get
the
to.
AL West on Thursday with the Houston Astros.
It's your division winner, the Minnesota Twins, is my pick. And everyone's
Probably.
pick, yeah.
They've been the most solid team in that division for a while.
For
I'm
sure.
trying to find what did Waka end up agreeing with the Royals? How much did they give him? I have it listed here. Oh, there it is. 2 years, $32 million.
Same.
So that was exactly the same amount the Padres could have locked him in for.
Would you feel better with having Waka in the rotation right now?
You'd feel much more comfortable about a complete rotation if it included Michael Waka.
Yeah.
But if you also had committed $16 million, you'd be right up against the luxury tax right now without any flexibility to do much at this point.
Tony makes a good point, too. They pitched really well, and they pitched well at Petco, and Kansas City is a little bit different of a ballpark, a little different weather that you're going to have to pitch through. Ball probably flies a little bit more there. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean,
the projections for both of those guys from Fangraphs aren't as good as they did last year.
Yeah.
But that's just a projection. It's not reality. But there's definitely there's a good chance that both of those guys take a little step back. And if they do, the Royals probably aren't going to take a huge step forward this season. All right, let's take a timeout. See what Sammy has to say. Spring training Sammy, what Mike Schultz talking about this morning from Peoria and the sports complex as the Padres get closer. A week from tomorrow, heading to Korea after the last spring training game for the start of the season. It's all coming up next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, I think some good news coming your way from Sammy Levitt from Padres Spring Training in just a moment. It's Ben and Woods. It is Tuesday morning on 97.3 The Fan, going until 10 o'clock. Annie and Elston at 10. Gwen and Chris and whatever iteration they've got of Scravy and Chris and Gwen for some of the show, depending on how the spring training schedules are going. I have no idea how they work that out.
Nor do I.
In the afternoon.
Every day it's just something different.
It's a different bevy.
I know Tony
of hosts.
will call the game with Jesse.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll be a webcast, and if the game ends at like 3, he may then have to drive back to where he stays in the Peoria area and then fire up the show for the last couple of hours. But there's an unpredictability to that I think you would find
that would drive
difficult to deal with.
It would be tough
if it was happening in the morning.
It takes a special personality to be able to deal with that. I am not that special personality.
I'd probably be able to go with the flow, roll with the punches
You're
a little bit more.
Go with the flow guy.
That's why I think I am the one to lead the tier 1s for the next 2 years.
It's some people could perceive it as a lack of caring. Some people.
Maybe we'll get Sammy's opinion on who should be in charge of the tier 1s for the election.
Sammy knows.
We'll get to Sam Levitt right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Several problems here. Let's start with the North County, southbound side of the 5 coastline near Cassidy Street. 3 vehicle accident in the center divide. Also, westbound 78 before Los Pozos. There is a collision blocking the fast lane. Looks like several vehicles involved in that. Also traveling on the northbound 15 right before the 8. A collision involving a couple vehicles. They're in the center divide. Westbound side of the 54 before the 805. 2 vehicle accident over to the right shoulder. The daily jackpots at Viejas Casino and Resort are on fire. Players have hit huge wins with bets as low as 50 cents. Check out their jackpot winning smiles on the Viejas Facebook page. Want to join them? Who knows? The next jackpot winner could be you, Viejas Casino and Resort. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Sam Levitt joins us live from Padres Spring Training, presented by your San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Not to put you on the spot, Sammy, but it's primary day. Election season's here. Last 2 years ago, Woodsy won the election for president of the Tier 1s in a close fight. If I had to put you
59 to 41%.
If I had to put you on the spot, who would you vote for this time around as president of the Tier 1s for another 2-year term?
That's right.
Wow, that's a tough decision. I mean,
not.
Look, selfishly, it comes down to what's best for me.
Right.
I mean, I have to look at things from an individual perspective. What is best for Sam Levitt in life, at the station, everything. And one could argue that during Stephen Wood's tenure, everything has gone very swimmingly for me. I've taken good steps forward.
Yeah.
Seems like everything's going well at work. But it does leave one to wonder, is there something out there? Is there more sort of left on the table? You know what I mean? Is there potential that has been untapped where if my vote went to Mr. Higgins, could things get even better?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is no. It's going to be
I don't know.
Sammy sounds like a politician. I like it. He's both sidesing it. He's looking at from both sides of the street.
And I think I'm officially going to put my name in the hat as the independent
I think
candidate.
you should. Or Sammy Lev would get a lot of votes.
Election?
November.
Election?
November.
Not until November.
Wait, your election is not until November?
The real election and our election is not until November. This is just primary season.
We do the tournament of drops during March Madness.
Yep.
We do our Ben and Woods election during the election.
Well, I'm not gonna give you my vote right now.
Fine.
But I will say there are a number of aspects to consider. I can't endorse any candidate right now.
We'll have to earn your vote.
Who knows? Maybe I'll have a write-in candidate.
I feel like I'm hurt because people know that if they
you write
don't
in Adam
vote for
Klug, I
Woods,
swear to
he'll be vengeful and bitter.
Me?
And if they don't vote for me, he'll be fine. He'll still be nice and everything. So why would we risk alienating Woods by not voting for him?
Correct.
That's a problem.
Look, I think that's something that needs to be considered, right? I mean, we don't want a situation where the election results then spill into the daily life of the Ben and Woods program. Because look, one could argue the Ben and Woods program has done very, very well by the numbers under the leadership of Mr. Stephen Woods.
Like record setting.
Would voters risk not having Stephen Wood's leadership, that is something that should be discussed in the coming months.
Imagine not having my buy-in.
Long way to go before Election Day.
Ben, you just open the show every day. I'll sit back. What happened? What happened yesterday?
That's not how the president works.
You went to work.
As president, I may delegate more work to you.
Ben does like to golf a lot.
He loves it. He said to us yesterday, Sammy, I'm golfing the next 2 Fridays, so I'm going to need to leave right after the show. No problem. We got it. We'll have it covered. And I'm off on Thursday, so you guys will have me covered.
Right.
Good day for you to launch a lot of political attacks against me.
Interesting that this would be a time that you would choose to not be here.
Yeah.
Fine. All right, Sammy. Mike Schilt just spoke, and some good news about Yuki Matsui.
Yes, Yuki Matsui is scheduled to throw a bullpen today. In fact, I just saw Yuki Matsui in the hallway, and it looked to me like he was getting ready to throw a bullpen, whatever that means. Had his cleats in hand and whatever bands he needs. So I hopefully will get to see the bullpen with my own 2 eyes. Maybe take a little video. But yes, good news. Yuki Matsui is getting back on the mound apparently today. So we'll keep an eye on that as the morning rolls along.
Excellent news. And we noticed the lineup going out to Salt River. Are you making that trek out there today, Sammy?
Yeah, I think so. I've got a lot of friends that work over at the Diamondback.
Nice.
And that's a nice ballpark.
It is.
It's the only trip we take out there. So, yes, I do think I'm going to go over there, maybe get a little post-game sound, whatnot. But, yes, I'm planning to take the trip out to Scottsdale today.
Jacob Marcy is going to be back in left field. You had a chance to talk with Jacob yesterday. You're kind of hitting some of the outfield candidates. I see some video of Oscar Mercado going up right now. What's kind of the sense that you've gotten as you've spoken to some of these guys who are trying to make an impression here at spring camp?
They got to be on pins and needles right now. I mean, this is the cutting time, man.
Yeah, look, I think that it's pretty clear the competition is fierce. Now, that's not to say that these guys don't get along, that they don't understand, sort of the situation. And look, it's an interesting dynamic at camp, right? I mean, you have guys that sit next to each other in the clubhouse, but they are very much going after the same jobs. And you never know, sometimes it could be one of your last opportunities to make a major league roster. I mean, with how things shake out over the course of a career, these are very, very important days and important opportunities. So you're right. It's been good to catch up with those different guys. Now, of course, I think you put somebody like Jacob Marcy, Graham Pauley, who I had a chance to talk to, I think you put them in a different category than you do Oscar Mercado and Cal Mitchell, just in the sense of Mercado, Mitchell, those are guys that have been brought in. They're not quite the young homegrown prospects like the Marcys and the Pauleys, where we know if those guys don't make the roster, well, they're just going to go to the minor leagues, and they probably will be up at some point. I think with guys like Mitchell and Mercado, you always wonder, well, if they don't make the roster out of camp, will they get that opportunity at some point in the season? And they might. But look, I think the competition is fierce. I think one thing that stands out is these guys certainly acknowledge the needs the Padres have in the outfield, and I think they're willing to be pretty versatile in how they go about it. I think, Marcy, I talked to him about playing a little left field. It's a place he's played a little bit before, but he's willing to play wherever, as is Graham Pauley, a willingness to learn different positions and understand that adds to your value. And somebody like Mercado and Mitchell, look, they're two different candidates for Marcy and Pauley as well, because they have major league experience, and they're just, they are more seasoned than Marcy and Pauley and whoever else you're looking at out of that young prospect group. I mean, they just are, Mitchell and Mercado. So how does that affect the ultimate decision, I think, is really interesting. But look, I think no doubt these guys acknowledge there's competition. You certainly throw Tim LeCastro in that mix, who's got off to a nice start and has that same amount, even more major league experience than guys like Mitchell and Mercado. So a lot of different directions the Padres can go in. And I think the good thing right now, whether you talk about the outfield competition or the competition for the rotation spots and a swing man in the bullpen, is that guys are playing well.
They are.
I mean, that's something Mike Schilt has talked about. They are not making it easy. I mean, at this point, a week and a half to Korea, I mean, is there a front runner for some of these spots? I don't know. A lot of guys are playing really, really well, which I guess ultimately is a good thing to have a hard decision for Mike Shildt and the Padres.
Talking to Sammy Levitt here on Ben and Woods this morning. Yeah, we talked a little bit this morning about just what a great job like Matt Waldron's done, but he's got options, and it would break my heart to see a guy come in and have the kind of spring that Matt Waldron's had, and them say, sorry, business decision, you've got options, some of the other guys don't. Go kick some ass down to AAA or whatever.
Yeah.
When it feels like, man, there's 2 open slots here, and I've done everything I can. Johnny Brito's pitched really well, and Vasquez has pitched really well. There's a lot of names. They're just maybe running out of spots, Sammy. We'll see how it plays out, certainly. But I really love the job that some of these new guys have done.
Well, Woodsy, you make a good point on the options, and it is something that you have to note and you have to understand is part of the decision-making process from what I understand, and it makes a lot of sense. The Padres could be more inclined with, 2 guys in Pedro Avila and Adrian Morejon, who, to my knowledge, are out of options. How does that play a factor into them getting on the roster for the Korea games? And then beyond that, I do think it's a factor. What they ultimately decide to do will be interesting because of that. I know there are some different rules. I'm not totally sure. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly the rules are about the roster when they go to Korea and guys they can sort of carry in sort of a different group that's not active, but you're not actually using their options. So there's some different rules there that I'm trying to figure out. But we know at a base level, Morejon and Avila are out of options. So, Woodsy, I think it's something very, very important to note, and I do think that is a factor in all this, and I'm with you. Look, it would be unfortunate, let's say Matt Waldron, for example, for him to continue having a spring like this and find himself on the outside looking in.
Terrible.
Yeah, it'd be tough. Now, in all likelihood, with the way baseball works, Matt Waldron's going to be up at some point, right?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
But yes, put it this way. The options part of it is a real thing, and it is a real factor in the decision-making process. So it is something that is very important to note, especially when you're talking about the very start of the season, where, hey, if somebody that is out of options just isn't getting it done and it's time to go a different direction, you may look at a situation where you're willing to maybe give them that opportunity early and figure out the rest later. But it is a factor.
Sammy, Fernando Tatis Jr. is obviously getting locked in. Manny's, checking the boxes when it comes to getting healthy again and getting back on the field. We talked earlier this morning about Xander Bogaerts. Hasn't had a great start to the spring, learning a new position. Are you getting any sense of any concern at all? It's spring. I know that's not even fair to really talk about, but what's kind of been the discussion around Xander so far in Peoria this last week?
I don't get a sense of any concern. I haven't heard anybody talk about any concern as to his slow start, and I understand it. I mean, it's spring training at bats. I just think you can't read very much into it. Now, of course, in Xander's case, there is the part of it with him learning how to play second base. I mean, is that a factor? Is that affecting him at the plate? I don't know, quite honestly. I haven't asked Xander that. But, look, it's definitely a different spring for him in the sense that he's learning a brand-new position. But, a handful of spring training starts and at-bats, I'm not going to get too crazy. And to answer your question directly, I have not heard anybody here at the complex express concern about the slow start offensively.
He's earned that. There's those guys that earn that. Manny's another one.
That's the right answer.
That's the right answer.
I brought it up, but that's the right answer.
Absolutely. I wonder, is he healthy? Did Xander, the wrist and everything, is he good to go? And that's the only thing that I worry about too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, it's I think with Xander and the wrist, it's a fair concern just in general. I'm not talking about
this year. Yeah,
training.
Of course.
But I think it's a fair concern because, you'll remember we heard about the wrist during spring training last year, and it sort of came out of nowhere, at least to us, right, in San Diego, knowing, there's sort of a wrist issue he's had for a number of years, and I don't remember the exact details of the shot he was getting and when he was getting it. I'm sure we talked about it plenty at the time, but look, it's a fair thing to just, again, monitor and notice over the course of the year, because we know it was an issue, a significant issue for him last year. But, again, to this point, I've not heard anything about Xander. I haven't talked to him in a handful of days, but I have not personally heard anything, beyond observing what's been a slow start at the plate. But you're right. Look, the wrist it's something that I think you're going to have to keep an eye on into this season and the years to come, because we know it's a thing.
So if you're going to Salt River Fields today, I'll make you a recommendation. Andrioli Italian Grocer. It's about 5 minutes from the complex there.
Okay.
Fantastic. Italian, get a sandwich or a pasta or a salad. It was really, really good. I would have taken Paulie and Woods there if it wasn't such a long drive from the Peoria Sports Complex. It's my favorite place. Favorite place that I've eaten in Arizona. Andrioli Italian Grocer. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you suggest that I grab this and bring it to the ballpark?
If you order a sandwich, you absolutely could do that. You can order. It's an order at the counter, but it's also like you can sit down and have a full Italian meal as well. You can go either way.
Get a big trough of linguine and clam sauce and bring it into the press box.
Oh, I had a fettuccine with a pork sugo sauce that was so good. It's like it was like they took the rib meat and turned it into this meat sauce that was on top of the homemade pasta. It was so good. So good.
Is it open for dinner?
They're open for dinner as well if you want to go afterwards.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe I go after.
But I also had we had a pork sandwich that you could have for lunch that was out of this world as well. So that's my recommendation. It's very close to Salt River Fields there. So
I got to tell you, I actually went to a really good place yesterday. For dinner. I went to a place, I think it was up in Sun City or even above Sun City, called V's Restaurant. It was really good.
V's.
Really, really good.
V's.
It was like
didn't encounter V's in my research, but always looking for good places on the west side of Phoenix. It can be a bit of a wasteland.
And I also, by the way, I'm rambling here, but I also got a haircut yesterday, and
feeling good.
One side of the haircut.
Post it, Sammy.
Oh no!
One side of my head looks fine. The other side, I'm looking at it this morning after I showered, and I was like, "What is going on? Did you not finish kind of blending things in over here?"
Please post it. I need to see it.
It's so bad that I literally debated putting a hat on.
Oh my God!
The good news is by opening day on the 28th,
you'll be fine.
Should grow out by then.
Nothing worse than a bad haircut.
Nobody said anything in the clubhouse this morning. So I don't know if they're just being nice or whatever.
Oh, Sammy, feel bad for you. Thank you, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. See ya.
Sam Levitt from Padres Spring Training in Peoria. No. Didn't get the best cut yesterday.
We're so lucky because we can always throw a hat on for weeks if we have to cover up our head.
I can. I'm on television. But I have pretty standard, easy to cut hair.
It is something.
Is that an insult?
It's political season, dog.
It's not presidential. Personal
it's
attack.
Not presidential.
Reindl Report coming up next year on The Fan.
So our boss Adam just popped in and just shooting the breeze. You know, they're out. They work from home on Mondays and Fridays, which it's got to be cool. What a great thing to not have to get out of bed and come to work on Monday and Friday every week. An incredible scene for him. But he did pop in to let us, say hi. And because, again, he's not here yesterday and he's not here Friday. So we don't see him for like 5 days in a row. So he pops in to say hello. He let us know that he has gout. Gout. Which, by the way,
is he Louis the 14th?
I thought, I'm not kidding when I say this. For about 5 years, I thought gout was like a really bad cold because I worked with this guy, Rochelle, and Rochelle sounded like Dave Chappelle when he talked. So you'd be sitting in your cube and you'd go, and he'd go, damn, got that gout. And I thought it was a cold for years. I was like, yeah.
It's not. It's a painful, like it happens like in your toes and stuff.
Your feet,
yeah,
right?
It's a buildup. He was telling me, a buildup of uric acid. The body's not clearing. It's oftentimes exacerbated by rich or fatty foods sometimes.
I should have more
Adam
gout.
doesn't look like he's ever eaten a fatty food in his life. He's just
he's so thin.
Scrawny little guy.
Yeah. Whoa, that was a direct shot. I was just said he's thin and fit. He runs a lot, I think.
Scrawny
Does he
little
run a lot?
I think so,
He's
yeah.
a runner.
I think he's a runner.
I'm not a runner.
No, I'm not either. It's hard to be a runner with gout, I would imagine.
Ooh, Paulie has
Is that gout?
has brought up some gout.
Oh,
That could
please,
be gout.
no.
Yeah.
In the chat you did?
Yeah.
How do you
Gouty
see it
feet
first?
Gout feet, because I watch.
Oh, you
on
watch
our
the
StreamYard.
Oh,
and you're watching
God.
On the
Those
YouTube.
aren't his feet, are they?
No. Not Adam's feet.
Those are stock feet, stock gout foot.
Big
Now,
week.
I know
Should have been
yesterday
week for feet
I
talk
said I
here.
loved feet. I don't love feet that have gout on them. I will definitely pass on gout feet. But yeah, for years, if somebody had a cold, God, the guy must have gout. I thought it was a bad.
Not a cold. No, it's not contagious.
I thought it was a bad gout.
You can't pass it on at work. It is not that sort of ailment.
Now I've told the other story about him. Do you remember this one? What he said to the vice president of our company, and he didn't know it was the vice president. I was back in my days when I would
I know this story.
take smoke breaks, and me and Rochelle, we called him Old Dirt. Dirty Row was his nickname, so his nickname was Old Dirt. He was
what job was this again?
Internet marketing company.
Internet marketing.
Yeah, and we would go outside and have a cigarette. And there was a VP who was in town from like Denver, and we were all out smoking, and he didn't know who he was. So he's
just a guy out having a smoke.
Yeah, just another dude, new face maybe in the office. So we're out having a smoke, and Dirt goes, "Where you from?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm from Denver." He goes, "Ooh, Denver. Got some good weed in Denver. Got some good pee too."
And what did the vice president say
He
to
looked
that?
at him like, is this guy insane? And he just kind of laughed and snubbed out his cigarette and walked away. And I went, hey, that was one of the VPs that are, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, oh. I've never forgotten it. I will never forget it as long as I live. They got some good weed in Denver, some good pee too. One of my favorites. He texted me about a month ago. He was in town.
Really?
Yeah, he was in town.
You keep track of all your old coworkers.
Yeah, for the most part. There's a lot I don't, as you know. But he is one of them, and he's like, I'm like, bro, I can't today, but next time you're in town, please give me a little heads up. I would love to go out, take a picture of me and Dirt. He was the best, man. Some good pee too.
All right. Well, Adam, thank you for the update. I hope your gout clears up sooner rather than later.
What do you do for gout? Do you ice it?
I don't know if there's a ton.
He said his pain level was like a
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Like a vice, like his foot was being squeezed by a vice.
Oh, God, that hurts.
That is no good. That is no good.
I always feel better when I hear a Reindl report.
Now, me too.
Maybe that'll help Adam. Paulie?
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report. with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Everyone's saying in the chat that gout is all about the diet, but Adam eats a good diet. We don't eat good diets, and we don't have gout. So, Frijole says, when in gout, eat tacos. I don't gout it. Could do this all day. Go ahead, Paulie.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, we'll start off in the NFL. Talked about the biggest headline in the NFL earlier with Russell Wilson getting released by the Denver Broncos. But yesterday, Jason Kelce called it a career.
Oh, man. This was
now,
emotional.
No surprise. He pretty much alluded to that after the end of the season for the Eagles.
Yeah.
But, after 13 seasons with the Eagles, I mean, about as well known as a lineman, especially a center, can be. I mean, he's got the #1 podcast in sports, him and his brother.
Seems to be a pretty good dude.
Seems like a
One
good
of
guy.
People Magazine's sexiest men. I
Jason?
believe Jason, yes.
Not Travis.
Not Travis. It was Jason.
It's funny.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
I don't like Travis Kelce. I like Jason Kelce.
Jason
a lot,
was the
though.
one who got the
Really?
nod of sexiest.
I'm looking at it
One
right
of the
now. It's not that I
sexiest
don't
guys.
believe you, but I want to see
No,
the
it was not
spread.
Travis. It was
He
Jason.
was. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a very emotional press conference for Jason yesterday. I saw some clips of him talking about his wife. It was very sweet. But the clip that got my attention and most people's attention that went around yesterday was when he talked about their Super Bowl run a few years back. Everybody remembers the Philly special. Nick Foles leading the Eagles to that Super Bowl championship. And, well, here is the edited version of what Jason Kelce said amidst tears yesterday at his retirement press conference.
I won't forget Nick Foles having the game of his life on the biggest stage possible. And the biggest on the team going up to Doug Peterson and asking for the Philly special. And Doug Peterson having the biggest in the stadium. Say, yeah, let's do it.
Frank
won them a championship.
Frank and Beans.
So who was the biggest D on the team? Nick Foles?
He wasn't
or-
the biggest
No.
D. He had the biggest
Oh,
D by
had.
asking for, hey, it was
Got it.
Foles' idea going up to go, hey, let's run the Philly special. And then the coach having the biggest beans
Let's
on
do
the team
it.
says, yeah, let's do it. And it worked.
It worked.
He was crying. Somebody says, is he crying or laughing? No, he was crying.
He sounded like he,
He
was
was
laughing
laughing
for a
and
second.
crying.
He was laughing
then
and
he was
crying.
crying.
The old laugh cry.
He was crying the entire time, and this was kind of a funny moment amidst the tears where he was trying to keep it all together. and he
I
just
know
couldn't do
that
it.
you'll probably think you'll never hear from Jason Kelce again, but
You will.
there's a really good chance that he'll be a broadcaster, and you'll probably see more of Jason Kelce than you ever did when he was actually a member of the Philadelphia Eagles
Cool.
going forward. So don't be too sad today if you're a Jason Kelce fan.
I thought it was cool. Travis was there and dabbing his eyes as well in the front row, crying about his brother retiring. He was very emotional. I love the story about Jason's wife. She is such a Philly fan. Such a Philly fan. She has said, if he left Philadelphia to go play somewhere else, I would not wear the jersey. I am a Philly fan first. It just lined up perfectly that I happen to be married to the center of the
Fandom
Philadelphia.
stronger than marriage.
Fandom stronger than marriage. She said, "There's, I wouldn't wear red in the Super Bowl for Travis. Like, it's not happening. I'm never putting on other
That'd be
gear."
like Hannah would be such a 97.3 The Fan that if you left and went for another station, she would still be rooting for the Fan to do well.
I gotta tell
and
you,
not for you to do well.
She loves Adam so much. so much. And when I try to complain about Adam, she smacks me down every single time. So I can see that happening, actually. She in her fan T-shirt. 100%.
All right, that's it for sports today. We will transition to spring break. Did you guys see this? Miami Beach is trying to cancel spring break.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
What? I thought that was like the signature for Florida.
They're over it.
They're
Miami
done.
Beach. And they want to break up with spring break, and they have released a campaign to do so. They did like a full commercial ad here that I'll play for you.
Yes. This is fascinating.
Hey, we need to talk.
This isn't working anymore.
And it's not us. It's you. We just want different things.
Our idea of a good time is relaxing on the beach.
Hitting up the spa. Or checking out a new restaurant.
You just want to get drunk in public and ignore laws.
Do you even remember what happened last March?
A lot of bad headlines.
That was our breaking point. So we're breaking up with you.
And don't try to apologize and come crawling back. This isn't safe, so we're done.
And just so you know, we're serious.
This March, you can expect things like curfews, bag checks, and restricted beach access,
DUI checkpoints, $100 parking, and strong police enforcement for drug possession and violence.
Whatever it takes, because it's time to move on.
Maybe we can talk when you're done with your spring break phase, but until then.
Breaking up with spring break, Miami Beach.
Do I have to ask?
Never.
No.
No Fort Lauderdale for this college party.
Daytona.
Woods, how about you?
Strangely enough, dude, I was kind of always between schools. Like I was dropping out and moving.
You didn't
to a
make
school.
it to spring break
So,
any year of your school calendar?
All my friends, there was a thing in Texas called South Padre Island.
Yes.
So all my friends, but my parents wouldn't let me go.
It's like Corpus Christi area,
It's
South
down
Padre
south.
Island.
They
Yeah.
would not let me go. It was hedonism. I mean, the stories I heard, I was like,
Here
good Lord.
it's Cabo, and Cancun is big on the West Coast spring break.
Why?
Excursions.
I don't want this.
Growing up here, if I was growing up here, like, couldn't you just go to PB and rage or
You
something?
could, but you want to
used
get
be able
away. You want to get away.
Yeah.
But the
I've
thing
never
is,
got the sense that there's a ton of people who come to San Diego for spring break.
I was just gonna ask.
We don't have that issue.
I don't
here
want
like
that.
they have in Florida.
I don't want that issue here.
Yeah. So do you think it's going to work? What Miami Beach is trying to do? They're going to enforce like
Funny, 'cause
curfews and lots of fines.
So when Ben and I were growing up, it was
Parking.
Daytona Beach was like they had it on MTV. It was Fort Lauderdale on Daytona Beach, and I mean I would see it and go, all right, I like it wild and crazy. That looks even a little wild and crazy for me.
I think other cities are going to be following Miami Beach's lead here. Like Panama City Beach also going to be doing something like
They're
this.
banging it entirely. Yeah, this is a good point. Weather's not really the best here in March for spring break.
That's a good point.
Spring break.
Yeah, as
so
we can see.
All right, be honest, Woods. Did you ever order the VHS of Girls Gone Wild at
did.
spring break?
I did.
You
Yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah.
You actually bought it.
On my mom's credit card.
Really?
Yep.
How'd that go?
Mailed to you.
I came home one night and it had a few, and the commercial came on, and I called the
Those
number.
are not good
We all
dudes.
know the commercial.
from what we've heard.
Yeah,
Probably 2 a.m.
They're not.
Yeah.
They weren't. Like I had worse tapes, you know what I mean? Like they weren't anything special. I was like, oh, all right. It's kind of a ripoff, to be honest. My wife was a big Havasu fan. People here would go to Havasu.
Yeah,
And,
Arizona.
I've heard some of her stories about Havasu, and they're not good. They're not good ones. Not my favorite tales that she spins. Her yarns of Havasu. That's the spot. I heard
Houseboating on
Yeah.
Havasu.
I heard it's insane. Like just insane.
Haven't done that either.
I never actually went and did like a big spring break trip. I never did.
Matthew says, Lake Havasu is everything I hate about Arizona in 5 square miles.
Fair enough. We'll wrap it up here. You know, one place you may not want to go for spring break would be the Venetian.
I love the
Hotel
Venetian. I just went.
in Las Vegas because I am reading here from the local CBS News affiliate in Las Vegas. And, let's just read right from the story here. A California man staying at a Las Vegas resort over the holiday season said he was considering legal action after he said his testicles were stung by a scorpion while he was sleeping.
Forget it. I'm never going anywhere again.
He woke up in excruciating pain.
A scorpion? on his.
His quote was, "I just felt like somebody was stabbing me
Yeah.
in my private area. It felt like a sharp glass or a knife. And upon investigation, he found a scorpion."
Oh, a scorpion.
Oh, God.
You ever been bit by a scorpion?
He said, I went to the
don't believe
restroom.
I've ever been bit by a scorpion.
Me neither.
I think the worst I've ever had are bee stings.
Had a wasp
which are bad.
sting. That hurt. And I got
Is that
stung
the worst
in my
that you
mouth
got?
by a wasp. I had to go to right to the dentist, emergency scene. It flew in my Mountain Dew, and I drank the Mountain Dew, and the wasp stung my mouth.
yeah.
Dude, side of the pool. Just swam up, and then I was probably 10.
Jellyfish, stingray, anything like that?
I got I think I got nicked by a jellyfish in Australia once, and I got out of the water. It was our first day.
I got attacked by bees when I was a kid. I think I told you the story. We were out at recess. I was in 5th grade, I think, so like 11 years old. And they were building some apartments near like the baseball field.
Yeah.
We were playing kickball, I think. And there was a bee's nest hanging in a tree on the other side of the fence. And this troublemaker, this little...
What was his name? Do you
dip-ass-
remember?
Yeah, Simon.
Simon.
He was just sounds
He
like
sounds like a
that
little
kind of guy.
P-word.
He starts chucking rocks at it.
Of
and
course he
finally
did.
knocked it over.
Of course.
And the bees go nuts. And
Oh
they kind
my
of swarm
God.
at. Here's the thing though. They swarm at us and we all kind of run. A couple people got stung once or twice here or there. We go back from recess. We're sitting in, I can remember this vividly.
Oh my
We are
God.
sitting in our classroom, and for about 5 minutes, I just kept like itching my body. And we were like reading books. It was dead silent. And I kept itching like my chest and my stomach. And I pulled my shirt up, and there were like 8 bees like latched on, stinging me.
Digging into you.
And I flew back in my chair
Oh, yeah.
screaming.
It's done.
Oh, God, it was awful.
So the scorpion, I've seen the Venetians pushing back a little bit. They don't want like a lawsuit on their hands.
Yeah, they comped the guy his hotel room for the night.
Yeah, you can comp me like 6 months of stay.
They don't know how it could have possibly gotten into the hotel room.
Could this be
I mean,
one
it is
of
the desert, though?
It is, but could this be one of those cases where somebody does this for publicity or a lawsuit?
It's
and
happened before.
Brings his own scorpion. That's if you're going to get.
I mean, you can't really prove that one way or the other,
Yeah.
could you?
No, not really. I mean, unless
If that
he,
guy
like,
really wanted to bring a scorpion
unless he
into
told
his
someone
room,
beforehand, I'm bringing this scorpion to the Venetian. I'm going to let it sting me, and then I'm going to
But
sue
why
them.
would you pick there to
Oh,
get stung?
God.
Like, sting me on my arm is a different story. That's I can vouch for the Venetian. It's a very, very nice place. A very, very nice place. One of the best experiences I had in Vegas.
And I don't blame them. Even if it happened, it's not necessarily a lack of standards that caused it to happen. I mean, bugs can get into anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not like it was infested with roaches or something.
No.
Like
One
unclean.
scorpion
One
got in
scorpion.
somewhere. It's-
Oh, Dub says, yeah, that stuff crawls in the luggage. That's a really good point.
Right.
In the
He
garage.
may have brought it in
yeah,
with
he
him.
might have brought it with him. Man, that is.
Can you imagine
I can't,
waking up in
dude.
pain? And
No.
he said he walked to the restroom and he looked and there was a scorpion was just hanging on
dangling?
his underwear. Like, can you imagine? Oh God, the fear. Oh.
I would have had a heart attack and
Yes.
died. I would have had a heart attack and died.
They would have heard me screaming on the
Like
bottom
as
lobby,
loud
the
and
bottom floor
shrill
lobby.
as you could as you've ever heard. When that rat was in my house a couple
my
years
goodness.
ago, I screamed. You would have thought it was one of my kids. Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
It's good stuff today.
All right, we got a timeout. We'll come back. Big game for the Aztecs tonight. New bracketology out. We'll see if my theory that the Aztecs and Arizona Wildcats are destined for a tournament meeting could come to fruition here. We'll be back after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
My buddy John just texted me that he got stung by a man of war in Australia across his face.
I mean, I'm seeing all the bites, the spiders, the fire ant stories in our chat, but man of war sounds really bad. Maybe it's just the name.
It's a name.
It's a kind of jellyfish.
It's a kind of jellyfish, yeah. It got him on the face. I would never go in the ocean again, ever. That would never be the last time.
Portuguese man of war.
Yeah,
Just
sounds mean and
horrifically bad
and menacing. A lot of people in the chat were curious as to your knowledge of Girls Gone Wild as well. Wanted to delve a little deeper.
Like most children, I watched syndicated television.
I wasn't
growing
a child when I bought it.
I didn't buy a Girls Gone Wild video, but I saw the commercials for them growing up. You couldn't avoid them.
That's true.
If you watched television in the late 1980s,
just hoping your mom didn't walk into the room.
Yeah,
it wasn't like I was watching a weird show. It would come on, watching a rerun of Gilligan's Island or something, and you'd get the ads that would happen. You're telling me you didn't watch reruns of Gilligan's Island?
Not in my 20s. No, I didn't. Not in my late teens and early 20s. I did not.
Probably, 12, 13.
No.
That's a lot of Gilligan's Island.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No. Girls Gone Wild was like 97.
Oh, no, it was earlier than that.
No, it wasn't. I swear. I think I just looked. Girls Gone.
It was 97 that I was in college watching reruns of Gilligan's Island, which I was supposed to be doing in
1997,
college.
dude.
This is not going well for my search history.
Yeah, you were. It was started in 97. Yeah, 97. So you were not a child. You were in college.
Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropical.
Your younger life makes me sad.
It's not sad.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's sad. Never rode a bike. Just watching Gilligan's Island in college, by the way. When you're out, you're supposed to be out experimenting, having fun. You're watching Gilligan's Island rerun. 97.
Probably.
We graduated high school in 93. 97 was your senior year at Pomona College. You're on the golf team, and you're at home watching reruns.
So you're in 97, and you're still stealing your mom's credit card to buy a VHS video? Great life you've carved out for yourself over there. So much better than mine.
It's fair enough. That is a... Oh, man. Yeah, it's Pomona. They said, how much fun could you have had?
Not that much fun.
Not that much fun.
Not that much fun.
Gilligan's Island in college is wild. Yeah. Was.
We had a lot of good syndicated television in the Los Angeles area. Many more channels than most people would get.
Did you ever try to watch the scrambled channels?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, good. Just want to make sure.
I'm human.
Some semblance of normalcy.
Ben, but I'm human.
Did you ever try magnets on the top of it?
No.
I heard that worked.
I don't think
it did not.
We had, so when we were growing up, in the country, as I told you,
in the country,
they didn't have cable television, so we had the big giant satellite dish in the backyard that you'd have to, it would move around to find like Galaxy 6, 18 to find the right
signal.
channels. Impossible to find where everything is. Oh wait, USA Network, that's on Telestar 7. Got to find that one.
Stupid.
Old school.
All right, you wanted to do some Aztecs
so I was
talk.
curious.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously there's a million bracketologists out there. Lunardi at ESPN, still kind of the original when it comes to the breakdowns, and I've just been curious kind of where the Aztecs have been slotting in. Most of them have the Aztecs as a 4 seed lately, and he does as well in his new bracketology that's out this morning. Arizona 1 seed in the West. But he has the Aztecs right now as the 4 seed in the South, which would be opposite Houston as the 1 seed. But you certainly could envision a scenario where the Aztecs could end up having to play against Keyshawn Johnson, their old teammate, in a Sweet 16 matchup against Arizona if it plays out that way. Interestingly, if Lunardi's bracket was right, he has them going up against 13th seeded Charleston in the first round, which, if you'll remember, is the exact same team the Aztecs played in the first round last year.
School of Charleston?
On their College of Charleston, on their way to the NCAA final last year. So, none of these are ever exactly right. Only the committee will get it exactly right in the end. Still has 6 Mountain West teams in there, though, which would be definitely a record, same as the number of Big Ten teams that he's got in the NCAA tournament. New Mexico is the most tenuous of them. He has them in the play-in game, one of the last 4 teams in, and then the other 5 all pretty solidly in, like Boise State is a 7, Utah State as a 6. I mean, it's been a really solid year for the Mountain West this year, and they get a good chance of getting 6. And then with UNLV, who the Aztecs are playing tonight, playing so well, they've won 9 of their last 10 games. They're the hottest team in the Mountain West. Don't sleep on the Rebels tonight. They're looking for a strong finish, and if they can win, they'll guarantee themselves like a top 4 seed, and they host the tournament every year. It's at the Thomas and Mack Center, so they got it on their home floor. They're looking to steal that automatic bid in the tournament and see if maybe they can get a 7th team from the Mountain West, because UNLV would not be an at-large team. They got off to a bad start this year, so they can't play their way in unless they win the Mountain West tournament, but they're playing well enough that I'm sure they're thinking about it right now in Vegas, that their team could surprise some people, especially playing on their home floor. And if they can get one of the top, 4 seeds, they probably like their chances. So, big game tonight.
Do you remember the College of Charleston mascot?
The College of Charleston. No, I don't.
The Cougars.
The Cougars.
Big fan.
Cougar fan.
Cougar fan. My demo. All right, we're late.
We're late for nothing, but we'll come back. Spin the topic wheel maybe a little bit in the last segment of the show. I wouldn't mind that on a Tuesday. Feels like a good time for it. We'll come back
wheel
with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. If you missed the big baseball headline in this morning, Lucas Giolito of the Boston Red Sox likely out for the season, dealing with elbow problems. Not a confirmed diagnosis yet, but the talk in Boston is certainly not optimistic about his chances after he signed a 2-year, $38.5 million deal just this offseason to try to pick up that Red Sox rotation. Not good news if you're a Boston fan, and really there wasn't a lot of good news going into the spring anyway.
Yeah, you said the talk isn't optimistic. I don't think it's been optimistic for a while in Beantown as it pertains to their beloved Red Sox. But no, it's a tremendous, tremendous blow for their rotation. And now you're already seeing people in baseball in the Boston area that are, reporters and stuff and radio hosts that are saying, oh, this is exactly what John Henry wanted. Now he's able to, throw a rookie in there, not spending any more money. We'll see what they do. I mean, throwing money after a Snell or after a Montgomery to a team that probably wasn't projected to finish above 4th, 5th place doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, you need people to show up to the ballpark. You need fans to stay invested in the team. I don't know if a Jordan Montgomery does that immediately, but it's going to cost you.
Oliva in the chat says, wow, Padres caught a break. Now, I don't know if there was ever any, serious interest in Lucas Giolito, but certainly someone we talked about, maybe at a lower price point that the Padres could go after. Yeah. It's true, though, that when you're a team trying to stick to a bit of a budget, one devastating injury can just unravel.
Can devastate
everything.
Yeah.
And the Padres are, in that boat right now.
No question.
I mean, in their pitching staff, something happens to Joe, Michael King. Man, I mean, they've got a few options, but you don't love having to count on
your quarterback.
More of those guys. It's like losing your quarterback.
You feel the air, go out of the season a little bit, certainly, but yeah, that's that. I told you earlier, man. That's the biggest dub of spring training. Is the only win that matters is getting through all of spring training healthy and ready to go for the season. Because I mean, this is terrible for that franchise and that fan base right now. And again, I don't know how excited they were about Giolito. But from everybody we talked to, Chris Rose said he's very valuable because he eats innings, and now they got to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a team like the Dodgers; they're not invincible. They've got really good players, and we all expect them to have a really good season. But they're human beings.
Sure.
They will struggle. Freddie Freeman will go through slumps. Shohei will go through slumps. It will happen over the course of the season, and they could deal with injuries as well. But you do feel like they've got enough depth that if they did have some injuries and enough talent, nothing's going to keep them out of the playoffs.
They're about 7, 8 deep in the rotation.
There's just really nothing that can keep them out of the playoffs.
No.
It would take a series of catastrophes, the likes of which you probably haven't seen on a baseball team in a long time, to even start thinking about the Dodgers dropping to like a 90, 89 win team that could somehow miss out on a postseason. It just doesn't feel... It doesn't feel like there's any scenario in which things could go so wrong for the Dodgers that they could miss the playoffs, which is a great spot to be.
Bro, they had it last year. They were ravaged by injuries in their rotation. Yeah. No problem. None. Dustin May gone. Buehler gone. No problem. 100 wins, whatever. Now, we all know what happened in October, but it's the same thing. I mean, they're getting guys back, Ben, that were healthier, and they added two ridiculous pieces and then one decent piece in a James Paxton. So, yeah, man, they're as deep as the day is long right now, and that's something that not every team has the luxury of being. We're not one of those teams that's super, super deep with starting pitching, and the Boston Red Sox certainly are not one of those teams.
I mean, we thought the Padres might be a team like that last year. Like, no matter what goes wrong, they should still be in the playoffs. It took a lot going wrong.
It was like a miracle
year.
almost.
The one-run record, the extra inning record, the inability to win 4 games in a row. And they still only missed the playoffs by 2 games at the end of the season, despite everything that went wrong. I can't really even in my head put together a scenario of the number of injuries, the number of one-run losses, the number of bizarre, confounding things that would happen to the Dodgers that would turn them into a, mediocre, 85-win team that doesn't make the postseason.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't even seem possible.
It's not.
Which means you can target everything for October. Now, maybe that's been their issue, is they're always targeting everything for October, and it's too much when you're thinking about it all year long, knowing, hey, none of this really matters. We're going to be there in October. So once you get there, it's too much for this team.
My friend is a Dodger fan. I am friends with Dodger fans, and most of them know that, it's just fun banter. I actually told them yesterday, I said, the regular season is going to be excruciating for you. It is. It's have we added the pieces to get over the hump in October? No.
162 chances for guys to get hurt.
Well, that and you're expected to win 105 games, like at a minimum, right? So
it's still a Cadillac problem.
It's a big time Cadillac problem. But for the Dodger fan, it's always October that matters. Always. That's where the weird things happen for them. It's where guys forget, how to do what's gotten them there all season long. It's not going to be excruciating, but it's going to be like, all right, let's get this going. Okay, yeah, oh, cool. We won 25 games in May. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're supposed to do. It's when the clock strikes October is when it's going to get really interesting for them. So, I don't see them winning less than 100. I'd take the field on that one. I would put anything on that.
I mean, as a Padres fan, I'm just hoping they don't set a record for most wins,
130 and 32 or something. I know, I'm with you.
But if they do, it will make the fall even better.
You got to win it all. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I was 11 years old when the Mariners won 116 games. Didn't even get to the World Series.
Didn't get to the World Series.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Good point, Paulie.
Yep.
All right, let's check traffic. We'll spin the topic wheel to wrap things up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Still a handful of problems here. Westbound 54 at Briarwood. We've got a stalled car in the center divide. Up ahead, crashed the clearing stage right before the 805. It's over the right shoulder. And a stalled vehicle on the Kelton Road off-ramp, westbound King Freeway. That's over the left shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
There it goes. Haven't heard that sound in a while. Been a couple of weeks.
Surprisingly.
This is a good one. What's the most annoying commercial you've ever seen or heard?
Ooh. Do we want to bring on some tier ones? We got some callers on the line. I have no idea if they're calling for the topic wheel. Let's see. Troop, you want to play some topic wheel with us?
Sure.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. One quick thing. I know the Padres' first at bat for Freddie Freeman. Sweet chin music in honor of Joe Kelly's punk ass.
Why not?
Fine by me,
All
my
right.
friend.
What's the question again? Most annoying commercial.
Yeah, most annoying commercial you've ever seen or heard.
There's one on our station.
I'd have to say that one they used to play all the time where that guy gets drugged by the dog to Petco. Like, that thing sucks.
Oh, during the Padres games? Yeah, he gets pulled out of his he gets pulled out of his house and they drag him all around.
It's a Petco?
It's okay because it only happens every commercial break.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. The that one's good. The one that we have on our station now, where the guy is like missing his girlfriend. That one gets me. I missed you. You guys know which one I'm talking about. It airs on our station. No offense.
I love all of our advertisers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the worst one.
What?
It's the Cars for Kids.
1877 Cars for Kids.
KARS
Cars for Kids. Yeah,
it drives me insane.
I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of anti.
Oh boy.
Oh God. Oh no.
Mask or anything like that. But the ones where they're dancing around to beat COVID, test it, treat it, you can beat it. And they're like passing a ball back and forth. Like, that has anything to do with COVID. Like, they're just bouncing a beach ball back and forth, singing about this disease. It just drives me crazy.
I think any of the ones, too, that for the, drugs that come out and they talk about, loose stool and oily stools.
I don't need to hear that.
You love nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. It's not annoying.
No, it's a great one. Next.
Catchy
Been watching
jingle.
a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm this
Troop,
season.
Troop already had his. Let's go to Chris.
Cut you right off.
Yeah, I'll just go after myself.
Yeah, hey, Paulie, just go after yourself.
Yeah.
I thought he already did his.
No, you really are locked in.
He is so locked in.
All right, let's go to Chris.
Chris, welcome to the Tier 1 Topic Wheel. Good morning.
Gentlemen, I hate to jump on your station again, but it's got to be the one on your station.
Yeah.
Old Texas boy Chuck McDowell, and I have a question for old Chuck McDowell. That
Wait.
last statement he makes.
Which
I wanna
one
know
is that
what
one?
the clones.
Which one is that one? Chuck McDowell. What is it?
Chuck McDowell is some kind of a repo or
Yeah.
he's got
The timeshare.
timeshare.
Oh,
That's the guy.
Yes.
Get you out of your timeshare.
I'll get you out of your timeshare. Yeah,
I started the
That
timeshare
guy's-
cancellation
guy's
McDowell.
That guy's voice is the ultimate Texas nail
Yeah.
on a chalkboard. Man.
Sounded
I
like
think it's effective. If I had a timeshare, I'd want him to get me out of my timeshare
100%.
right
It
away.
sounds like every teacher I ever had in high school, by the way. Every single one. I'm Chuck McDowell. That's exactly
it's a
what they sound
blank
like.
check. They can charge you whatever they want forever. Even your kids,
Your
when
kids
they
be
inherit
paying
your
for it.
timeshare, are going to
It's
be
so
paying
good.
for your timeshare.
No, that's a good one. All right, spin it again, Paulie.
We just did during the call, and the question is, what TV show was canceled way too soon?
Oh, boy.
Gilligan's Island. Obviously.
Such a square. What you got? Who's our tier one on the phone?
Great. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, all right. Very good.
Let's see.
This is going well.
Canceled way too soon. Oh, winning time.
Oh,
Easy
100%.
answer. I win on winning time.
Good call.
You can't end that where you just ended that one. That was terrible.
That was such a good show. I love that show so much.
I did too.
And I don't like the Lakers at
I know.
all,
If you
but
liked it,
so
I feel like
good.
it was good for everybody.
People in the chat saying Criminal Minds, Family Matters. I think Family Matters was fine. I think it did just fine. Mindhunter, yes, really, really good show.
I don't know how much more they could have done with this show, but maybe I'm just selfish because it was so good. But only 4 seasons of Eastbound and Down made me sad.
100%.
I don't know how much more they could have milked that show.
They did some
for.
shark jumping in the last season, certainly, which is fine. I would anything they want, but yeah, 4 seasons of Kenny Powers was not enough.
I mean, the argument is it's better to go out
a
season or two early.
Well, in that case, I'll see you guys later.
than go too far and jump the shark, which is literally a reference to Happy Days, which completely ran out of material and had Fonzie water skiing over a shark at some point.
It was terrible.
Not what the show was about.
He jumped over it.
He jumped over a shark, and that was the moment when the show jumped the shark. And that's
Ted
where
Lasso. Is Ted Lasso done?
It's
It
done,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's done. I think they ended at the right spot, though.
Do you?
I don't know that I needed another season. I mean, I'll miss the characters for
Yeah.
sure, but you know, were they going to go all the way and win the title? They didn't quite get there, but I thought that was appropriate for the show.
This is a good call. Californication, which was a great show. I think it was on Showtime.
David
with
Duchovny.
David Duchovny. Ooh, man, that was great.
It hasn't been canceled yet, but I have a feeling I got really into Euphoria when that was big a couple of years ago.
I bet she did.
And-
Panama Red. I bet you did get into Euphoria.
Oh, Sydney Sweeney. No, the whole show, the whole cast was
You don't have to
phenomenal.
lie to me. Yeah, your wife is in the chat. I know she is in there.
She's the one that told me to watch it.
I understand. I understand.
That show, the stars of the show got so big that they have not been able to get everyone together to continue the
Get 'em
show.
back.
Like Zendaya, massive. Sydney Sweeney, one of the biggest stars on the planet.
Raul says they started filming Euphoria, so maybe
I did
it's
not hear
coming
that.
back.
That's good news then.
Freaks and Geeks in the chat. I didn't watch that one, but I know
that's
people
a
like
great
that one.
Terriers is an interesting one because it takes place in San Diego. Donald Logue. It's all down in like OB and stuff. It's really cool. And everyone, that's one that always gets brought up as one that
Great
was canceled.
San Diego shows in the past.
Yeah.
Simon and Simon.
Simon and Simon. God, I love that
San
show when I was a
Diego as
kid.
well.
Ben and Woods and Simon and Simon.
But nowadays a show could be canceled 10 years ago. It might be back.
Yeah.
They just continue to remake old shows and bring back the characters. So I don't know that any show is truly ever dead anymore. If it had any semblance of success, it may return.
I saw somebody tweet yesterday that they're tired of seeing Sydney Sweeney retweeted into their timeline. And I don't know that I could ever get to that point in my life. The Sydney Sweeney posting is weird, and I would like for it to go away. From Ken Klippenstein. He's a reporter. Like, you don't have to lie to me, Ken.
I mean, she hosted Saturday Night Live this week.
Yeah, she hosted
so
SNL. She was really funny.
There was a lot of extra attention this week.
She wasn't funny?
I thought it was like a horrible.
Well, the one
episode.
skit I saw, she was a Hooters girl that made like $36,000 in one shift. Spilled beer all over a guy. He goes, "It's fine. You can do whatever you want."
It was.
I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. There was one other one that kind of made me laugh, but other than that, it just
Fell flat.
It fell flat for the most part.
Wow. Did you hear that pun? Fell flat.
Got it. And that brings us to the end of Ben and Woods for a Tuesday. Congratulations, everybody. We have made it to the end of another show. Annie and Elston will be coming your way in just a few moments, so stand by for continued programming here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I have bad news for you, Woods. Aztec game doesn't start until 8 o'clock tonight, which I know is not your favorite.
Let me know who wins.
But we will talk about it tomorrow morning. I'll stay up, and Paulie will probably stay up and see at least the first half of the game, and we'll talk to you then. For Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. From all of us here at 97.3 The Fan, so long.